From iRacing's Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it's round number 6, the 500 miles of Indianapolis, presented by CorvetteParts.net. I'm Rick James, joined by none other than Aero Broadcast Network's Clay Hardy, here for 200 miles, 500 laps in the greatest spectacle of them all, the racing capital of the world, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Clay, welcome back home again to Indiana.
There's nothing like it in the world. Seeing the 3 wide as we get ready to go racing here. Wouldn't miss this thing for the world. More than happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
I could say the same thing. Thank you for having me. We're ready to go racing. Fans already in the chat, ready for their drivers. Frozen Inertia saying, polling for the 2-7 tonight, but hope it's a good race all round. Sinin. Where's that sign-in? Sinin, right? Christina, sign-in. Thank you. Christina Ryan, appreciation post. Christina Ryan starting on the outside of row number 1. Ryan. I'm sorry, in the middle of row number 1. She's in that Go Gap 80 machine. To the inside of Kyle Taub, to the outside of Hunter Peach. Livedigs Racing saying, we're not green. Stupid Pug says, let's go Crouch. So many drivers down this field. The number 11 car of Donnie Crouch on the inside line, and that AMC Dallara to the inside of that US Air 4 machine. Clay, who are the favorites coming into the season's biggest event?
A lot of favorites. Hunter Peach, a surprise, taking the pole position. Christina Ryan, can't rule her out. Kyle Taub, really good. Christian Gomez, really good. The top 6, you really can't rule anybody out. My dark horse, however, is going to be Tom Sears, starting 14th, middle of row 5. But he's got a top 10 streak that goes all the way back to the start of the season. He could good.
Oh, hey, 12 in the chat asking, oh God, it's a 3-wide start. Hooded says, look at the beautiful prismatic motorsports livery. So much to look at. The start on the driver. The green flag is out. The field already spinning, and we're moving. Let's go racing. The 1-6 of Kyle Taub leads the field into that third corner. Clay, 1-6-8-0-2-6. Hunter Peach sitting in the bronze medal position in the Gainbridge machine. Christina Ryan sitting in second. The first 2.5 miles of the 500 goes to KT. Kyle Taub leads lap 1.
It was a very clean start of the race. Tom Sears decided to start from pit lane, so safe start for him, but everyone got through cleanly. That's what we wanted to see. Now the trouble begins as the yellow comes out. And Luke Smith, 64.
Luke Smith in that 6-4 car. Tommy Withers in the 6-6, and there is the right front wheel on that pink. It looks like the Natter Days Strawberry Lemonade. 6-4, Dallara, the Houston driver, injured, and Virginia's Tommy Withers also damaged that gorgeous throwback, if you will, to Robbie Gordon, I think. The 66 car. Looks like he's gotten a piece of that accident. Let's go back to the crash, Clay, on the second lap. Oh, hey, asking if there's any fast repairs. We'll get there in just a moment.
There are 2.
Let's take a look, and they're already spinning. The 6-4. Oh, just getting clipped by another car there. Let's run this one back. It looks like that black Haviland car also involved. Have a look
Donald
here.
Ray.
The number 5 of Donald Ray on the outside. The 6-4 going high. Nowhere for the Texan to go. Rockwall, Texas, Donald Ray just getting in the way. And one more car clipping that 6-4. That wasn't Noah Belleville in the 51.
That was the... I'm trying to see who that was. It wasn't...
Cody Pennell in the 2-8. Good Hope, Georgia's Cody Pennell, the stock car ace, 3-time Thursday Night Thunder winner, injured in the U.S. Air Force machine. So already on lap number 2, some drivers having to use their fast repairs, and the yellow flag flies over the racing capital of the world. Your top 3, Kyle Taub, Christina Ryan, Hunter Peach. Clay, we didn't even get 5 miles under our belts before the yellow flag flew. Jitters, I should say.
Yeah, it's an expected thing. With Luke Smith, it seemed like he just underestimated how much the takeoff understeer on that car is going to be. What we saw there, Luke Smith was kind of behind 2 cars. There's a car on the outside already in front of him and a car on the inside where you wanted to be, and it just took off. And Donald Ray was on the outside line where it was a little bit cleaner, and he didn't know that Luke Smith was coming up, so there's nowhere that Donald Ray could go. Everyone's going to kind of have to get used to the dirty air. It can be really bad the worse you get in traffic, but with it being so far back, it didn't affect more of the field, which is a good thing. So everyone kind of gets a second to sort of readjust and kind of take what they've learned over the last couple hours and see how they can adjust the car going to this next restart.
Well put. Kyle Taub, a regular in the DI9 Designs Turn Down for What Xfinity Series at the front of this race. Christina Ryan sitting in second. And earlier in the chat, Hey asking if there's any fast repairs, and the Aero Broadcast Network Race Facts telling you these drivers have 2 total fast repairs to go with those 12 additional sets of tires they get here tonight. And for everybody joining us on Rick James TV tonight, big thank you. I know you're regular viewers on ABN, and Clay, big thank you for sharing this race with myself and everybody involved with Rick James TV. Having a blast just talking about this, putting this race together, and here we finally are, the biggest race of the season. And CorvetteParts.net has also come along to help us celebrate these 500 miles of Indianapolis. I know that it's been a very busy couple of weeks trying to get this started, but it's all come together, and here we are, man.
Yeah, it's fantastic to have sort of all the support we've had. Obviously, ARCS, ABN, fueled up on the series side for Indy ARCS. Obviously, you broadcast this race last year. Happy to have you continue to do that. Happy to have CorvetteParts.net continue to present this race. Their support's incredible. It's going to be an exciting race. The amount of talent in the field is incredible. Obviously, you look at Taub, you look at Ryan, you look at Peach, Gomez, Mulkey, who finished 3rd here last year. It's a celebration. It's a celebration of everything that the May stands for. It goes back to 110 years ago. And you get that vibe, and there's nothing like it.
Quite certainly. I mean, we wouldn't be here if we weren't fans of racing. You know, it is unbelievable. I mean, my earliest memories of the Indianapolis 500 is watching Robbie Gordon run out of fuel with just less than 3 miles to go, and I think it was in the broadcast booth. Yeah. All you heard was just wow, and for me that cemented for me just how anything's possible in the Indianapolis 500, and then watching the celebration from Kenny Breck, just for me that was one of my early racing heroes. And obviously the year after that, Juan Montoya, one of my favorite drivers as a rookie coming through and winning the Indy 500. And then of course watching Castor Neves the years after that. It's just been a brilliant race. I love that we can blend our love of racing and our love of the sport with this very incredible hobby that we love. It's so much fun. I can't wait to go green again, man. Looks like we're just going to complete the 4th lap of racing. Kyle Taub bringing the field to the line. 5 laps at Indianapolis complete, Clay.
Absolutely. Kyle Taub continues to go now. Really good jump for him. It is on leader's control on the restart once the pace car is off. He'll lead Christina Ryan and Hunter Peach down into turn 1 here. See how everyone handles the dirty air this time. Brad Ringer seems to be struggling. He's spinning. And that's another yellow.
Caution comes out immediately again on the restart. John Honeybrink already down pit road, but it's Brad Ringer that's involved in that accident there. Is it Tommy Withers again? No, he's made it through. Possibly Luke Smith involved one more time. Donald Ray also got a piece of that accident maybe. You see him driving on the access road, Clay. Let's go back and see what happened.
Yeah, it looked like Ringer might have clipped the apron or clipped the curbing and spun out.
And there it is. Ringer does clip the apron. Donald Ray also went for a spill. Let's see what happened to the Texan. One more look aboard the Haviland machine on the restart. Possible contact. One more look from the outside. Did the 64 get into that Haviland machine? No, Ray just hit the curb. Same thing that happened to Ringer in that 7-6 car, but it looks like Ray made it out with just a little less injury to his race car. Back to the front, Kyle Taub has led every lap so far. Christina Ryan's in second. Points-wise, Clay, coming into this race, Jeremy Brio, your points leader. He's running 8th right now. Tom Sears, the two-time Thursday Night Thunder champion, currently running in 17th, and then 3rd in points. You've got James Pierce. Doesn't look like he's in the starting lineup tonight, so certainly
he
Pierce
is not
going to lose out on some valuable double points.
Yeah, Breo and Sears, they've been the most consistent of the bunch so far this season. It's been really fun watching them battle, especially 2 weeks ago at the Grand Prix of the Brickyard. Christina Ryan, she won at Texas earlier in the season. She's been pretty phenomenal every time we've been able to see her on track for Prismatic Motorsports. James Pierce in Orlando. He's got other obligations, so we get to see him, I believe, in next week at Belle. But, yeah, unfortunately, him and his teammate Dan Tenorio not available tonight. But still a really good field with double points on the line. A lot can change in that top 20, as we saw there. 100 points is the difference between first and last. So, yeah, if you're trying to get a championship run going, this is a good place to get started.
You know, I'm going to Belle Isle next week.
It's a good place. Now's the time to do it before they move to downtown.
Yeah, no,
absolutely.
I'll be going next week, and as much as I do love the sport, I'm actually kind of just a little bit embarrassed to admit I've never been to an IndyCar race before.
It is so worth it. IMSA's going to be there too. So worth it. That's one of the tracks where you get well worth the price of admission.
You know, I almost did pick up tickets for Saturday and Sunday. I almost picked up flex tickets, but unfortunately, I couldn't work the whole. I had to work the whole weekend, but. No, I'm definitely excited to go to my first IndyCar race. I'll be taking loads of pictures for sure. But this is going to be quite the fun IndyCar week. You know, we've got this race tonight. We've got the actual 500 coming on Sunday, and then the Sunday after that, my first IndyCar race. So it's pretty cool, man. I can't wait. I'm pumped.
Absolutely, a lot to be pumped about. It's always an exciting race. Last year was no different. So obviously excited for that. Answering a question on the Twitch live stream. Is there something wrong with using the preferred line? What happened was Brad Ringer had the weight jacker pulled in on cold tires. The weight jacker, for those that aren't aware of what it does, it essentially affects the right rear spring. On cold tires, with the way the weight jacker does, it puts more load on that right rear tire, and it kind of causes a spin on cold tires if you use it too early. He didn't adjust it to back to the default setting to get through that first couple laps, and it bit him. That's what that does. And I believe Donald Ray had a similar issue, which caused him to spin separately.
These cars so difficult. ARCS, or the Alliance Racing Championship Series, as it's known, not a lot of drivers in ARCS are familiar with the open wheel scene, but certainly it's a new thing for a lot of drivers here. But this is the first time that ARCS is running a full IndyCar season, Indy ARCS, pun very much intended, is well underway. This is the 6th round of competition, and if you've just recently tuned in, I'm Rick James, joined by Clay Hardy for the 500 Miles of Indianapolis, presented by CorvetteParts.net. You're looking at the Aero Broadcast Network point standings. ABN, the regular broadcast channel where you'll find the Indy Arcs series. And matter of fact, Clay, ABN putting up $25 for our race winner tonight alongside the Keen Parts prize package. So a lot up for grabs tonight. Kyle Taub's going to restart once again in that first position. KR, Christina Ryan in second, and Hunter Peach will be in third coming to green.
Yeah, being able to listen to the driver's chat there, everyone's just sort of really anxious, really jittery. We'll see how that handles here, but now everyone's starting to get a little bit restless, so we'll see if we can get some racing underway here. Everyone knows now what the mistake was on that last caution, so they'll see if they can adjust it.
NM Frylock 2 says, I heard the legend Jack Mulkey was racing tonight, so of course he had to tune in. Kyle Taub goes green. Christina Ryan in second. Hunter Peach in third. We are racing once again from Indianapolis.
Getaway through turn one was clean that time. Looked through the back of the field there. Everyone was pretty polite. Now we can get at it.
Car is already snaking down the back straight. You're looking at Cody Pennell in the 2-8. He's sitting in 14th right now, trying not to get involved in another accident. And look at this in the chat. Brevman Bain says, I got $1,000 on Withers. I'm trying to buy a house. And, well, you made a bold bet there, my friend. Talking about Tommy Withers. He's sitting in 19th right now. Christian Gomez goes purple, Clay, 42.87 seconds.
Yeah, he's one of those that are debuting here tonight. Signed up for this race all the way back in February. He is a big soccer fan, he's a growing journalist for Inter Miami and MLS. Found time in his busy schedule to join us here tonight. Very proficient, very excelled in these cars. He's going to be a strong one, especially the later run of this race. Been a while since he's been in the car, so he's got a little bit of adjusting to do. But P4, fastest lap so far early on. Really good run for him.
You say he's a big soccer fan. There's actually a really important soccer game coming up this Saturday. The Champions League final, Liverpool versus Real Madrid. I wonder who he's pulling for.
He's a Liverpool fan.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he's a Liverpool fan.
Well, he and I are going to have a very important talk after this.
Ooh, yellow's out.
Caution's out. I was just going to say Kevin
Right
Young
out.
went purple, 40.73 seconds. But as we're just messing about here, Jeremy Brio, the Thursday Night Thunder winner, goes for a big spill. He jumps immediately to pit lane. Let's see what happened to the Pennsylvania native on lap number 12. Oh, he just gets a bit too high, wide, and handsome. And the multicolored Tron number 74 machine. Well, Clay, you know, I really don't want to be this guy because I'm terrible at iRacing and I'm in the booth, not on the racetrack. But at first glance, it looks like it may have been avoidable. Let's have another look at Jeremy Brio.
What it looks like to me is that he just enters really high. Something that we try to sort of talk about the drivers here is sort of just backing up the inches of the corner. And if you look at how he's entering the corner, he's never touching the white line. If you can get your tire either on the white line or below the white line, you've got a pretty good chance of making the corner. And he never backs out of it. He never backs out of the throttle, so he just tries to power through it, and he tags the wall there. And unfortunately, now he's out of the race as a result.
So Brio in pit road, just wondering how he's going to get this race going again. Kyle Taub continues to lead this race. Caution number 3 is out 13 laps into this one. Certainly, the jitters getting to a few of these drivers. Let's see if we can have a quick word with Kyle Taub. See if we can bother him real quick and ask him how his race is going. Actually, Kyle looks like he's not available for chat at the moment. It's all well and good. Let's move down the line here.
I believe the highest person available at the moment would be... trying to look, because everyone moved to their own independent chats.
well, you know what? Let's do this. Tommy Withers was
Right.
Tommy Withers was in the chat earlier. Let's see if we can bother him. Tommy Withers, Rick James, and Clay Hardy in the booth. You got me, buddy. Tommy Withers, Rick James, you got me? And no word from Tommy Withers. Let's make sure that we put him back where he wants to go here.
Rick James.
Hey, there he is. All right, now we got
There you
Tommy Withers. There he is, Virginia's very own, in the pits right now. Tommy, you got some fans in the chat cheering you on, buddy. That Valvoline machine looks good, but it's a rough start to your 500.
Oh, no, man. Not rough at all, actually. I'm just having a good time back here, hanging out, biding my time, watching all the wrecks happen in front of me. Long race here, so no reason to rush anything yet.
It's a really good strategy. Being so far back in the pack, obviously not the most ideal situation in the world. How's it feeling out there? How's the understeer going for you?
Not good. Tons of understeer, but as long as you kind of anticipate it, it's manageable. So not too bad. Really just hoping we can get some green flags in. I'm sure everybody's tired of watching caution laps.
Tommy,
Obviously,
sorry, go ahead, Clay.
obviously, like with the overcast skies, very dark. The track temperature is pretty cool. Do you feel like that's kind of helping you out a little bit, knowing that you're not burning the tires up when you're running that dirty air?
Yeah, actually, we were just talking about whether or not to use the first set of tires with having 12 extra. So, just for everybody at home, we were sitting at 97% on the right front, 98 on the rear for me. So, probably didn't have to, but why not? You got 12 extra. So yeah, tires aren't burning yet, but I hope the sun comes out. It's a little easier to see and navigate.
Tommy, we've seen a lot of cars get in trouble. We've seen a lot of cars just hit the bad line early on in the corners. Is this more of is this more a race of just being patient, or is it more just survival, trying to stay out of trouble? 3 cautions in the first 13 laps of competition would say it's a bit impatient, but on the track it just seems like some guys are just trying to shake some of the 500 nerves.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big race. Everybody wants to do well here in the 500. I think it's a little bit of jitters, and I don't think we've all been, around this many cars all at one time yet either. So I think it's a lot of adjusting to aero and the pressure of the big race.
Well, we're going to let you get back to work here. The lights are off atop the pace car. You've got more racing to do. Tommy, best of luck. Keep the shiny side up. And I guess let's see, the most important question of the evening tonight, seeing as how we're at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I don't know. Who's your favorite IndyCar driver?
Oh, man, probably Kanan, I would have to say.
TK, all right, an Indy 500 winner. Maybe you'll be another 500-mile winner. Best of luck, buddy.
Thanks for everybody for rooting on me.
He's got a lot of friends in the chat. Look at that, Simple Jerk.
Absolutely.
In the chat says, man's a natural on the mic. Brevman Bain says, let's get a live listen. Puddle Hawk Experience, he's a big fan. Sinan, also apparently a Liverpool fan in the chat. We got some friends in here, man. We might start talking more soccer than racing.
Right?
No, I'm screwing around. Let's go back racing. Kyle Taub at the point. Ms. Christina Ryan in second. Hunter Peach in third. Green flag is out. We're racing again at Indianapolis.
Green.
Seems like a couple people are trying to anticipate the start. Taub keeping a very good tight lip on when he's going. But Ryan's got a really good jump as well, staying on him. Got a little bit of a gap to Peach down there in third.
Brevman Bain in the chat says, Tommy loaned me $20,000 one time. Can somebody loan this man a win at Indianapolis? Snaking all the way down to the white line. Here goes Christina Ryan to the outside. On board with second place. She goes for Kyle Taub's position.
Tao playing a really interesting game. Something that you'll probably hear a little bit from race control regarding blocking. You're allowed to make one proactive move. You can't make more than one. As Christina goes to the outside there, it seemed like there might have been an issue with that going down the back straightaway, but Ryan's on the outside of them through turns 1 and 2 now.
New leader at the racing capital of the world. Christina Ryan in the 8-0 goes to the point. She leads the Ohio native at the front. Kyle Taub in second. The Floridian sitting in second. Leah Noodle says, go Chrissy. Sinan says, clean stuff. And she's got a lot of fans in the chat, Clay. Hunter Peach sitting in third. Chris Gomez, the Liverpool fan, in that Lysol machine in fourth. Jack Mulkey rounding out the top 5.
Yeah, a really good start this time around. Withers really hanging back there a little bit. You got Donald Ray and Tom Sears hanging back. Mulkey sitting 5th. He finished 3rd here last year. His main competition from last year not in this race. Now he's going to start chipping away at that 27.
Kevin Young from Syracuse in that 7-2 goes purple, 40.69 seconds. The New Yorker in 6th has the fastest lap of the afternoon so far. But now that we've gotten some cars finally moving at speed, look at all these times. At least 15 drivers posting green laps, their fastest laps so far. Look at the snake down the front straight. 19 laps underway, Clay.
Yeah, this is where sort of the drama sort of begins to happen. Everyone knows you've got at least 7 more pit stops if you haven't pit already. For a lot of us that haven't pit, Ryan, Taub, they have 8 pit stops in this race if this race continues to go green. But Ryan, she finished 2nd here 2 years ago, trying to do just a little bit better. She's doing a really good job of that right now, not having to come from a lap down to do it either. Taub, a natural, and you see Mulkey all the way up to 3rd. He's gone around Gomez and Peach with ease on that outside line. He's making it work when nobody else is.
Jack Mulkey went purple, 40.53. He's done it again, 40.47 seconds back to back. Fastest laps. Simple Jerk saying T-With gonna be kissing bricks before the night's done. Stupid Puck went. Ouch. Commando Griff's in the chat cheering for Kyle Taub and Hunter Peach, 2 of the runners with turned down for what? Almost contact. Mulkey to the outside in the 6-0. That's a phrase we said a lot last year. Mulkey to the outside. And the Auto Nation Dallara moves into the silver medal spot. Ryan, Mulkey, Taub, your top 3. And Clay, you might bet that Mulkey goes purple again.
Yeah, Mulkey, as I said earlier, Mulkey, his main competition, not in this race this year. He finished 3rd last year to Tommy Reynolds and Alex Shimkowski, and now he's at the front of the field ahead of Christina Ryan. He's on the charge, and he's comfortable with that outside lane. No one else wants to touch it, but him and Kevin Young at that 72 also doing the outside line a lot of good. A lot of unorthodox lanes, but they're figuring it out early, and everyone's got to take notes.
New leader in the 6-0, Kevin Mulkey goes to the point. Christina Ryan sits in 2nd. CLW 2410 says, detach that trailer, Withers. Let's go. Bring honor to our family. And a member of the Withers family cheering on the Virginian, sitting all by his lonesome, Clay. He's 34 seconds ahead of Emma Carter in the 70 car and 2.7 seconds behind Tom Sears in the 1-4. Perhaps Withers just trying to ride around log laps and get comfortable in his machine. We're only 10% of the way through. It's a long one.
Yeah, absolutely. Withers has the benefit because there is a lucky dog here in this series. If you're the first car lap down, when a yellow comes out, you get your lap back. Carter currently has that position. She pit because she tagged the wall, broke the rear toe link in her car, so she's used one of her fast repairs. But Withers, yeah, he's still safe. He didn't push it on that restart, didn't want to be involved in any trouble. A really smart game plan at the end of it. Just if a caution comes out that's well timed, he's still very much back in the hunt here. And there's still a lot of time before they actually get to him here. They'll be pitting before they get to him.
6-0, 8-0, 1-6, your top 3. Jack Mulkey barely holding on to the lead. Christina Ryan occupying the space to the outside, possibly trying to fake him out into the 3rd corner. They run, and it looks like Mulkey will hold on to the lead for now. Let's go on board and have a listen with Christina Ryan from 2nd place. She chases Mulkey in 1st. Well, never mind. She goes right to the inside, Clay. She wastes no time. Will she make it stick? She does. New leader once again, Christina Ryan.
And this is the interesting game that's going to be played. You're going to see Ryan and Mulkey battle for the lead because you just want that clean air. Kyle Taub seems pretty comfortable sitting there in 3rd. Peach in 4th, losing a little bit of time. You have to start thinking about fuel mileage here. If you're able to kind of sit back like what Mulkey is right now behind Ryan, you save a little bit of fuel. You're not full throttle all the time like Ryan is. That will help. If you go an extra lap, an extra 2 laps every pit cycle, that saves you a lot of time. That gives you a lot of room to maneuver if you have to adjust your strategy a little bit here. Tight pit windows here means that those extra 2 laps do help out. That's 16 laps over the course of a race if you go 2 laps every stop. So I wonder, obviously Mulkey and Ryan aren't saving, but I wonder how much Taub is saving, how much Peach is saving. Taub is a race winner in this series, so is Christina Ryan. So they both know how to get it done. It just, who's got the strategy call right now? Who's thinking strategy this early? And how will it play out over the course of the rest of the 500 miles? Because that is what matters right now. You have to think long term here.
That snake never gets old. Watching these drivers just go down that straight. Christina Ryan, Jack Mulkey, Kyle Taub, your top 3. Ryan back to the front. Mulkey sits in second, and it looks like now Peace possibly. Never mind. Bren Roberts goes around. Caution is out. Big cloud of smoke in turn number 2, and it's the Vodafone number 84 machine of Roberts who's gone for a spill. Caution is out for the 4th time tonight on lap 26. Let's have a look and see what happened to Bren.
This bailed out Christina Ryan because she was about to come down pit lane.
Oh, Roberts nearly just getting crushed by, it looked like Luke Smith. Let's have another look. No, maybe not Smith, but someone just barely missed Smoking Roberts.
That was the 06 of, I believe that's Mason Turner. He's another debut.
Let's take a look on board Mason Turner's ride when Roberts has a crash. This will be a great sight. Beautifully
He did
done.
a really good job of letting that all kind of go around him. He did a really good job there,
wasn't it? I love that skill, man. Mason Turner coming through, and I've never gotten to do this, and I know this doesn't apply because this is an IndyCar race, but that right there earns Mason Turner his very own Cole Trickle move of the race.
Ice cream!
Yeah, it's so wild when being in the car and seeing everything happen in front of you because you are going so fast. We are going 230 miles an hour. You sort of just have to kind of pick your lane and go. He picked correctly there, and Bren did a really good job of not doing any more damage. He did everything he needed to do to kind of keep the car from going back up towards the wall. Mitigated a lot of the damage that he could have possibly suffered there. I don't see a lot on the car itself. So I'll have to check out the suspension at the rear there. But right now he's doing a really good job. Sort of just hanging on to that, and he gets to fight another day.
It looks like everybody's going to come down pit road and take their first break of the race. So we're going to go ahead and do the same, fans, but don't fret. We're not going anywhere, and neither should you. We'll be back in just 60 seconds with more iRacing from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You're watching the ARC's 500 Miles of Indianapolis, presented by CorvetteParts.net. ready to go racing once again. BJN39 says, iCar roll call. He's here. Sam Hines did not cause this wreck. I don't even think Sam Hines is in the starting lineup. He might be, and I hope I'm wrong there. Or I hope I'm not wrong. Christina Ryan will come to the green flag as the leader. We're racing again at Indy.
Really good start there. Taub wasn't expecting it. And Gomez is going to try to eat him up.
Hey, Peter in the chat says, soaking up the sun. Soak up some of this racing. Ryan, Taub, Gomez, now your top three. Hunter Peach drops out of the podium positions for the first time today. The Lysol machine works its way into third, snaking all the way down to the wall. Kyle Taub not taking any chances, staying right in the draft with Christina Ryan at the front of this race. Luke Smith sitting in ninth. He's surrounded by Noah Belleville behind him. Don Crouch up ahead in the 8th position. Crouch has just a bit of a draft coming up on Mason Turner. Clay, that 06 car, moved out of the way of the accident of Brent Roberts, and now he's got a chance to make his way into the top 5. He's got Mulkey to deal with ahead.
Yeah, teammates here between Mulkey and Turner, both of them racing for Simcoe Racing, the 06 and the 60. Both of them very familiar with each other. They've been working together all day long, trying to get everything figured out for this race. Now they're hooked up together. That could be a problem for everyone in that top 5 once they get going through. We saw Mulkey charge the field. Hunter Turner, Mason Turner, I believe, can do the same as well. Keep an eye on Tom Sears. He's in 11th. He's got a top 10 streak throughout the season. He's going for 9 in a row this season. Sits 11th, right behind Noah Belleville. But he's slowly and surely making his way forward. He's being very patient, very methodical. That's the way he does it, and it's right now paying off. Belleville up 10 spots, our biggest gainer so far. Fantastic job for him, and he's on a game pad. He's not on a wheel, so he's got an additional challenge.
33 laps into this race. Tom Sears, 11 laps into that interesting-looking black and, what would you say, chartreuse or teal colored ARCS machine. He's sitting ahead of Toby Estes. Estes, one of the 3 drivers from TNT where I'm familiar, where they call themselves the Bluegrass Bandits. He's racing for his friend Mark Pike, Unit 6103 from Taylor County, Kentucky. His friend Mark tragically passed away recently. Mark survived by his wife and his son. And on this day, racing with a heavy heart, but still showing up and putting in a good effort. So it's a bit of a more emotional challenge for Toby Estes, but he's taking that emotion to Tom Sears, Clay. He's all over the back end of the Massachusetts native and the Kentucky driver piloting that Air Force Indy car, looking for a chance at the top 11.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job right now. He hadn't spent a lot of time in this car. Had a chance to talk to him yesterday and into today. Wasn't sure what to expect out of this race. Wasn't sure where he'd end up being. Being able to sort of battle with Tom Sears, battling with Luke Smith, who's a podium finisher in this season earlier this year. Really good company to be around. He's ahead of Brad Ringer, who won the opening race of the season at Phoenix. He's in really good company, and I think he's doing a lot of people really proud right now. Obviously, I'm a Kentucky native, was born in Maysville. He's doing me really proud. A lot of Kentucky people that are watching right now, you got someone to root for, and he's doing a pretty outstanding job. Started 15th up to 12th.
B. Todd in the chat says, I'd make him play that stream at Applebee's Happy Hour. We had Thomas Andrews, the Thursday Night Thunder champion, in the chat earlier. Everybody talking about Tommy Withers. Apparently some guys were saying if Tommy Withers doesn't win this race, I might have to get a job. Now I kind of want to know what that relationship's like with Tommy Withers. But at the front, they're more concerned with just staying ahead of the competition. It's a half-second gap, Clay, between Kyle Taub and Christian Gomez in third. The way they're snaking down the back straight, Clay, what kind of stress is it going to put on their tires? Because these drivers are really going hard with this draft.
It's so in typical situations, obviously, when you see the overcast skies, it reduces the track temperature, which makes it a little bit easier. Spending a little bit more effort to kind of turn the car down, you don't normally do it this early, but because the air temperature is so low and because the track temperature is so low, I think it's 76 air temperature, 78 track temperature, so it's a really good range for those tires. They can be more aggressive. It is going to hurt the tires a little bit, but they're pitting 25 to 30 laps. So they can kind of afford that, especially at the front with Christina Ryan as they come up on Jonathan Hohenbrink, who had a wreck earlier. That kind of changes a little bit, but if they can quickly get around this 20 car, Ryan has the best benefit here, being able to stay in the clean air. It's going to hurt Taub and Gomez the worst, but they're in a good spot tire wear wise. They're not overheating the tires too awful much. I'd worry more about the cars Peach on back, 5th place on back, where the dirty air starts really creating a wall that they have to work through, because you have to turn more to get through that.
38 laps into this race, Christina Ryan still leading the way. Hunter Peach in the 2.6 Gainbridge machine on the outside of John Honeybrink, sitting in 20th. 1 lap off the pace. A little bit of NASCAR flavor for that 20 machine. The Home Depot ride in the 20th position right now, ahead of Cody Pennell and Jeremy Brio, who are out of the race so far, but still 20 cars running. The 06 of Mason Turner now gets to the inside of Honeybrink, and at those speeds, Clay, the precision it takes to get around. Did Honeybrink just touch the wall? He did. Honeybrink down to the inside, and it looks like he will peel off the racing surface. Smart move for the driver of the 2-0. Further up ahead, battle for the top 10. Luke Smith in the 6-4 finds himself just behind Noah Belleville. Donnie Crouch and Mason Turner also in the mix.
Yeah, Crouch, he's had an up and down season. Belleville, he's not made too many appearances, but when he has, he's been pretty phenomenal. He's another driver new to this car, but this has kind of been his wheelhouse. He was excited for this race. Wasn't sure how qualifying was going to go for him, but he's rocking it right now, up 11 spots. This kid is talented. I saw him in A Squared on Sunday nights in ARC's podium, his first race at Richmond. Just phenomenal work for Noah Belleville. He continues to impress. Happy to see him continue to go here as he's on the outside of Luke Smith, battling for 9th.
We'll be flashing up those points all night long. The R in the circle next to a driver's name denoting their rookie status this season. Brevman Bain says, "My shirt is off for Tommy right now." This man loves himself some Tommy Withers, running in that 16th position with a Robbie Gordon throwback, if you will, aboard his 66. Tom Sears on the fringes of the top 10, chasing down Luke Smith. And over the last 5 laps, Clay, you can see that Smith has been just a little bit slower than Sears over the last few laps. And now the Massachusetts native within striking distance for that top 10 spot.
Yeah, Smith seems to be struggling a little bit with the dirty air. Sears seems to have a really good grip on it. But Sears, I think, has a bit more knowledge on this car on the ovals than Smith does. Smith just has that position. This is a track, especially this range of the race, now that we're into a green flag run, where you have to think about pit stops. You have to think about when you want to pit. Does the undercut pay off to you? Can you get that clean air? Can you guarantee yourself some clean air? You do run slower when you are further in line, like Tom Sears is doing. If he can find a pocket of clean air and just go full throttle, it might do him some good. But that's something you think about when you get ready closer to a pit stop here, something that we're still a few laps away from.
Sign-in in the chat says, "I think the livery on the 66 was run by DeFerrin, not Robbie Gordon, but it was the same team, Walker Racing." I know about NASCAR liveries, but certainly not IndyCar liveries, so I'll defer to sign-in on that one. But still, one of my favorites, almost a carbon copy to Mark Martin's paint scheme of the 90s. Puddle Hawk Experience says Tommy Jr., probably something related to Withers. In more pressing matters into turn number 3, Clay. The 06 of Mason Turner on the outside of Don Crouch. Crouch having to check up out of that third corner, and it must be so difficult keeping your composure when you've got another driver inches away. But Turner makes the right move, and he's up to 7th.
This car, it's so difficult. As we see a couple cars, there might be a car further down the field that has an issue. There was a car that had an issue, but with Crouch, he was on the inside lane. When you have a car on your outside, it creates a lot of understeer. It creates a lot of takeoff, is what it's called, where it wants to shoot to the outside, where it wants to stop turning left. What Mason Turner did is he hugged Crouch going into the corner and then went away from him. So it pulled that air away. And it forced Crouch to let up because he knew he wasn't going to make the corner side by side. Very tactical, very strategic. Absolute fair play by Mason Turner. Very smart move by him. And it got him the spot up to 7th.
Looking now at Don Crouch in the 8th position. Noah Belleville starting to catch him up. Luke Smith sitting in 10th, and he's got Tom Sears behind him. Further on back, Emma Carter back in fighting shape. She's challenging for that top 15 spot. The BWT machine having to check up to avoid making contact with the wall. Virginia's Tommy Withers cracks the top 15, and Donald Ray sits 5 seconds ahead in that number 5 Haviland machine. Possibly this may have been the machine that was run by Gilles de Ferrin that I might be thinking of, but again, I could be super wrong. The Texan sitting in 14th. There's Toby Estes just on the fringes of lucky number 13th, and it's good to see Bren Roberts back in fighting shape as well. The Vodafone machine, Clay, in the top dozen.
Yeah, the top 15 separated by... Well, top 14 separated by 11 seconds. Still really competitive. Still very much anyone's game. A bad pit stop by anybody will throw them down to the tail end of this line. Donald Ray, he was very much he admitted he was out of his depth. He's riding around behind a lot of good cars. That's Peach in the wall. Hunter Peach dropping down. He's got a lot of problems.
The 2.6 Gainbridge machine, the DI9 designs turned down for what ace? You can see just the right front bent. Hunter Peach on his way down pit lane. Let's see if we can find out what exactly happened with that 2.6. We saw Mason Turner get around Peach, and Peach already looks like he's been wounded, Clay. Let's roll this one back just a bit. And this just before the start of our first green flag. Oh, there's one hit. Second hit, third time's the charm for Hunter. Fourth time for good measure. There it is. Fifth time. And now he's just literally rubbing salt in the wound. So not such a peachy lap for Hunter, but not the worst timing. It is just before the green flag pit stop cycle start, Clay. Christina Ryan leading this race by 1.5 seconds over Chris Gomez. KY Kevin Young sitting in 3rd.
Yeah, Hunter Peach now has a lot of mountains to climb. He luckily was able to get back to pit lane on his own power. Normally you don't get away with that. Surprised that they didn't break the rear toe link, which would have completely stopped the car. But he's got a way to come back here. He's just got to kind of tough it out. It's not going to be fun until we get to another yellow, if we see another yellow. Brad Winger has just DNF'd from this race. So we're down to 19 cars at the moment. Hunter Brink on pit lane for additional repairs. Yeah, Peach has got an uphill mountain to climb, but we've seen what he can do. He's not out of it just yet. Now the interesting battle. I've seen this battle before between Ryan and Gomez. Excited to see it here in the racing capital of the world. They're gonna give it their all. It's gonna be a lot of fun watching them battle. This is how the front of the field is gonna look like. Kevin Young in 3rd also as well. Shout out to him. He works with me on ABN. Decided to race this race, so someone to cheer for there. Really doing a really good job staying with 2 phenomenal drivers. 2 drivers that are top of their game.
1/4 of the way into this race. 50 laps about to be completed. Christina Ryan leading. Chris Gomez now within 0.6 of a second. Gomez has a sniff of the draft on Ryan. Young also in the play. Stupid Puck says, let's go Crouch. He's sitting in the top 6. Tommy Withers continues to climb into the field. He sits in lucky number 13th Puddle Hawk Experience says, this is the most entertaining 500 I've ever watched, and the leaders are in. Christina Ryan on her way down pit road, and the Ohio native puts smoke out the back end, screeching to a halt. She's got to put the pit limiter on 60 miles an hour, and this starts the green flag pit stop cycle. Fans at home, your favorite driver's name will be highlighted on the bottom of the screen. The blinking time on the right is total pit stop time, and the constant ticker on the left is the pit lane time. Yellow flag is out, Clay. Tom Sears, the Massachusetts double Thursday Night Thunder champion, has crashed after making it into the top 10. That car is destroyed.
And a caution came out very well timed for Christina Ryan. She had just come out of pit lane. She'll be behind the pace car, but she'll get a wave around, I believe. She will not go a lap down as a result of this.
Let's have a look and see what happened to Tom Sears on lap 51. Is it contact with the Vodafone machine? And it is, and it's not Sears on his lonesome there. That looked to be the Vodafone machine. Not Brad Ringer.
Brent
Roberts. In the Vodafone machine. It is indeed Brent Roberts. Let's have one more look here. Closer look at Tom Sears and Brent Roberts.
It looks like here, so they were side by side. Typically, if you're trying to kind of conserve, the person on the outside is typically going to hold off and try to back out of it. Sears thought he was going to try to be able to make the pass. Roberts, you saw the takeoff understeer a little bit, came off the bottom lane. And unfortunately, Tom was still right side by side with him, and you just ran out of room. You can't stay side by side for very long in these cars in the corners. And nothing Bren could do. He was trying to back out of it, and Sears, I don't think, could see him until the very end there.
Atlanta Racing rating with 6 viewers as we take a look at the most recent caution tonight. Tom Sears coming to an unfortunate scrape with the Vodafone machine. He's still wounded, but he needs to bring that car down pit road. He was one of his 2 fast repairs. B. Todd saying you should have spent more time behind the wheel instead of the club. 5th caution is out. Tom Sears sits in 13th, and a big welcome to everybody. Just got rated by Atlanta Racing. Fun fact of the day, and I'm telling everybody this forever. He used to be a DJ, and let me, while we're going to start spreading some links here, let's go with twitch.tv/Atlanta Racing. Check this man out because he's an absolute ace broadcaster. He does American Elite ARCS series, I believe, Sunday nights. Quote me if I'm wrong, ATL. But twitch.tv/Atlanta Racing is where you can find his ARCA series. And then he's also going to be doing, I believe, some 87 series coming up midweek as well. Let him know. And, of course, while we're spreading links out, Clay, where can these IndyCar fans, new and old, watch your races on Twitch?
So Era Broadcast Network, we broadcast most of the Indy ARC season. Obviously, we're on Rick's stream tonight doing a phenomenal job. Thank you everyone that's tuning in tonight. Hopefully we're putting on a show. Era Broadcast Network is where you can find us. Posted here. So we have the Indy ARC series Wednesday nights. Belle Isle for us is on Wednesday next week. But we're also running a Super Lights Championship with the Dallara DW12 on Tuesday nights. We ran the Freedom 100 last night as a celebration to get ready for tonight. And we'll be racing mostly ovals on Tuesday nights. So if you had nothing going on Tuesdays, feel free to give us a shout out. We're here having a good time, enjoying racing, celebrating the month of May and everything it stands for. And I'm glad everyone's along for the ride.
Cars coming down pit road, getting their repairs in. Christina Ryan still being scored as your race leader. Lights are off atop the pace car. So we are going to get going. We're going to get green here in just a few seconds. Fans, don't go anywhere. We're going to take a 30-second break, and we'll be back for the restart. You are listening to Rick James and Clay Hardy. This is the CorvetteParts.net ARCS 500 miles of Indianapolis. About to flip the switch and go racing one more time. Christina Ryan leads Donnie Crouch to the line. Going to restart here with 54 laps underway. She puts her foot down. Green flag is out. Let's go racing.
Top three are ready for that restart, but it caught Kevin Young by surprise. Just to make sure he doesn't fall within a second. Once he falls out of the second, the amount of slipstream you get from the car in front goes down. Christian Gomez probably going to be frustrated with Donnie Crouch a little bit. Crouch, very difficult to pass, as Ryan's going to make it difficult as well, serpentining down the back straightaway.
Christina Ryan putting her left side tires well under that white line. The cars sing full throttle into that third corner. Chris Gomez moves into that second spot, and now he's hunting down Christina Ryan. Further on back, Texas Donald Ray makes it into the top dozen. He's on the outside now of Bren Roberts, who was involved in that last incident. The catalyst, if you will, to Tom Sears getting into the wall. But the Massachusetts native is in the top 13 again, behind that pink BWT machine of Emma Carter. Emma finds herself in the 16th position, 1 lap off that pace. Christina Ryan still up front by 0.6 of a second. Don Crouch not by himself. Cars in the wall. It's Briley Wright who's gone off track. We're still green, however, as the yellow still at speed. Ryan, Gomez, Young, your top three, Clay.
Kyle Taub also tagged the wall separately. Tagged the wall out of 2, whereas Wright tagged the wall out of 1. Taub going to try to limp back to pit lane, but both of them are going to lose a lap at least here. A very costly restart mistake. Again, just pushing too hard on that restart and misjudging the exits of turns 1 and 2. Something that's kind of important to note, there is wind coming from the north side of the track, which is turns 3 and 4. It makes turns 3 and 4 easy, but turns 1 and 2, you have to put a little bit more effort in. And that's where it's going to catch drivers out. Drivers having to fight the wind a little bit more as the tailwind pushes them out towards the wall. It caught Briley right out, and it definitely caught Kyle Taub out as he tried to exit turn 2. Yeah, this is where it's going to be good for Ray as you see him go to the outside of Bren Roberts. Now that there's a little bit of a space, you can find that clean air, and it makes it easier to make a pass like that on the outside lane. Donald Ray starting to find his confidence in this car, and it shows. Top 10 for Donald Ray.
Rockwall, Texas, Donald Ray in that top 10. Luke Smith up ahead. He was involved in that first accident, but Smith now in the top 10 and continues to move along. Toby Estes, Mason Turner, Noah Belleville. Belleville sitting in 6th in that lime green GoDaddy machine, our hardest charger so far. He's up 14 places from where he started. There's Mason Turner on the outside of the 19. Is that right? Who's in that 19? Great move there.
19
that is
Toby
Estes.
Estes.
Unbelievable move to the inside there. And he's in 7th, and it looks like, Clay, the sun just wants to poke out through those clouds. The clouds are moving through here. They are, the sun will come out, and it is going to make the track just a bit warmer, a bit more slick. 60 laps into this one. The driver still on relatively fresh Firehawks.
Yeah, the track temperature's gone up a little bit. It's up to 91 degrees since the race started, so it's gained about 15 degrees in track temperature. Obviously, we have a lot of cars circulating. That'll jump up the track temperature. The track will begin to get hotter and hotter as this race goes on. These drivers will have to adjust to that. Right now, we're seeing the drivers are okay with a hotter track, whereas the drivers that prefer the grippier, cooler surface might begin to struggle a little bit here as Gomez is at the front of the field ahead of Christina Ryan.
White Walker 86, my man Kurt Swatsworth in the chat says, love me some Rick James. And I love you too, buddy. I'm surprised Mama Vault ain't here yet, but we still got plenty of race to go. We're just past the 1/4 mark. Chris Gomez leading Christina Ryan. Kevin Young sitting in 3rd. Further on back, Bren Roberts, Donald Ray, single file. Mason Turner up ahead in 9th. Roberts to the inside of Ray in turn number 3 with Emma Carter looking on, holding her breath. Side by side, almost making contact out of turn number 3. Ray still on it, on board now with the Texan pilot.
Yeah, really good racing throughout the field. Top 4 is under a blanket. You have the battle for the top 10. There's Sears, Roberts, Ray, all in that conversation. It's really good racing throughout, but they've had to sort of let the field kind of spread out a little bit. You had to find clean air in those pockets. So the amount of positions you can gain under green flag has sort of limited itself, but a lot of good battling you see in pockets of 4 or 5 cars, and it's still a struggle. It's definitely putting a lot of pressure on the drivers that are in that dirty air. Donald Ray, now where he wants to be, and that's the front of this line. And he's starting to feel it, and when Donald Ray feels it and he starts to build that confidence, he's a dangerous man. And keep an eye on him as this race gets further into it.
Ray creeping up behind one more car ahead of him that looks like the 13 car of Todd Zhu, the Canadian. Just trying to stay out of the way of the Texan, but still plenty of racing available for Todd. He finds himself 17th, 3 laps off the mark, but of course, still plenty of race to go. Todd trying to chase down Kyle Taub, who's a couple of laps ahead. Taub sitting in 16th is slow out of that second corner. Possible complications for Taub. Carter behind Ray. Further on up through the field, it's still the Chris Gomez and Christina Ryan show, Clay. Let's take a look at how Chris Gomez got around Christina Ryan for the race lead. Textbook.
Yeah, this one was coming for a little bit. Gomez was trying to shape up Ryan there a little bit, and waited as long as he could. But a really good run and a really good job by Ryan to not lose 2 spots. Kevin Young could have easily tried to take advantage of that. But Ryan did a really good job of maintaining your composure and getting right behind that 27 to hold on.
The snake slithers down that front straight, 65 laps. Christian Gomez, Christina Ryan. That's going to happen again. Let's just get that out of the way. Kevin Young sits in 3rd. Tom Sears and Tom Withers nose to tail, and this is really going to excite the fans of the Virginian. Sinan says we're closing in on 1/3 distance, and we absolutely are. Withers sitting in 13th, 1.5 seconds behind. Tom Sears sitting in 12th, and Hunter Peach just up ahead by 3/4 of a second. Kevin Young catching up to Christina Ryan, who seems to have lost her momentum after losing top spot, Clay.
Yeah, she's struggling a little bit here. Obviously, I think pit stops are coming here in a little bit. She's just trying to hang on. It's affecting Kevin Young as well. But yeah, Christina Ryan, I don't think super happy with how the balance of the car is at the moment. There's a car in front of Gomez. That is Riley Wright, I believe. But that's sort of making things a little bit more complicated. Ryan's just trying to hold on, figure out how her strategy is going to go here. As long as she can stay with Kevin Young, she'll have a drafting partner if Gomez does pull away here. But right now, she's definitely getting frustrated with that dirty air. Being the 3rd car in line and starting to kind of fall back, we see that a lot throughout the field. But as we see Riley Wright, we get out of the way for Gomez. He's probably going to do the same for Ryan here. And that's going to help Ryan out quite a bit.
Hunter Peach in that 2-6. He's now behind Bren Roberts. This is the battle for 10th. Repeat 1975 is in the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend. He is unbelievably good at what he does, and I wouldn't be doing this with the excellent Clay Roberts if I did not have this godfather right here. Go ahead, follow him, subscribe to him, make him your favorite broadcaster before somebody else does. Repeat 1975 is in the house in our second 500 miles of Indianapolis, presented by CorvetteParts.net. Pete, my love goes out to you and your family, buddy. I hope you're doing all right. I hope everybody's staying safe and healthy. Clay, Toby Estes is on the march forward. He's just gotten around Luke Smith for 7th.
Yeah, Estes is kind of marching through. Luke Smith's going to have another shot at him. Donald Ray hand in this as well. Donald Ray is cut up to Smith, cut up to Estes here. Donald Ray, again, don't count at the 5. He's doing pretty good. He's doing what he said he wanted to do, which is hang around, be competitive. He's absolutely showing that right now as Smith is trying his hardest to push to get up to the 19. 19's making it difficult in his own special way. Obviously, we talked about what he's racing for earlier in the broadcast. racing with a lot of emotion. That does make it very interesting. Luke Smith, also a very passionate person. We're going to see a really good battle here as they battle at the very edge of the top 5 here, battling for 7th.
The Greensburg native has had a very nice race so far. He's a 4-time winner in Thursday Night Thunder. He was running a part-time schedule driving those ARCA cars in Thursday Night Thunder. He ended up getting 4 wins and I believe 8 starts. Unbelievable numbers for Estes. And the IndyCar rookie is in the top 7 right now. Mama cheering for Smith, Pete, and Kurt exchanging pleasantries in the chat. 70 laps underway. Luke Smith back up to the back end of Estes. Tommy Withers up to 12th. Donald Ray's down pit road, Clay. Complications for the Texan. Did he hit the wall?
I don't believe so. I'm not seeing any damage on his car at the moment. I believe this might be a scheduled stop. We are approaching lap 70. We're actually on lap 70 now. This could be a scheduled stop, I believe.
Donald Ray coming down for service, and the Texan will presumably go a lap down, and there goes the competition. Chris Gomez still leading. Chris Ryan in second. Kevin Young in that 3rd position. Toby Estes side by side with Luke Smith. This the battle for 7th. And White Walker is a little lonely at home. His wife's out of town, so he's checking out the race and rooting on some drivers. Most notably, probably Kyle Taub, Hunter Peach, and a couple other fast pilots in this race. And if you've recently tuned in, I'm Rick James and Clay Hardy sitting right by my side. This is the 500 Miles of Indianapolis presented by CorvetteParts.net. Normally, you'd find us on Arrow Broadcast Network, but tonight, we are on Rick James TV, but don't forget, next week, the circus continues on the Arrow Broadcast Network. There's the link in the Twitch chat. Click it, subscribe to it. Don't miss another lap of this series. Car in the wall, Clay. Car in the wall. It's Briley Wright who's crashed, and the Kentucky native, one of the Bluegrass Bandits from the same town as Toby Estes, makes contact. He's still moving. We stay green, and it looks like it may have just been a spin. He gets loose out of turn number 1, and there's the contact. Left side tires making contact with that wall, and Briley's going to have to get that race car repaired. White Walker 86 says it's been a rough night for Wright, and it's been a bit sour, unfortunately. 73 laps underway.
Yeah, so the interesting part about that is I believe that might have been an adjustment on the weight jacker that went wrong for him. The weight jacker, as I explained earlier, the right rear spring, if you increase it a certain amount, it makes the car looser, increases rotation, but it can also over-rotate the car. And I think he was fighting for a bit more rotation. He was definitely on older tires, trying to make it work. And I think he just kind of went too far in the rotation for the weight jacker, and it just snapped him around. It definitely seemed like a weight shift there. Just too much load on the right rear of that car. So there is a limit that these drivers kind of have to deal with. Some drivers can kind of play with that limit a little bit more, but it caught Briley Wright out there pretty significantly, and it's going to take him out of the race.
Christina Gomez, geez, that's twice tonight. You know what? I'm gonna donate. You know what? Let's do this. That's twice tonight. I'll I'll donate $2 to the charity of your choosing, Clay, for every time I mess up I mess up Christian Gomez's name. So that's $4 already.
Right.
Christina Ryan sits in the 2nd position. Kevin Young sits in 3rd. Hunter Peach in the 8th position, just getting passed by Bren Roberts. A few other drivers are down pit road, Clay. Don Crouch, Tommy Withers also coming down for tires and fuel.
Withers coming down this time as well, so we're deep into the pit stop cycle, 3rd time around, and it is at that 25 lap mark for the leaders. Lap 75, they come in, and it's all 3 in the top 3 coming in. It's going to give Jack Mulkey the lead here.
New leader for the first time tonight, Jack Mulkey, sitting in that 6-0. He's got the lead right now with Noah Belleville chasing him down in 2nd. Christian Gomez, I almost messed that up. $2 anyway, $6 now. Christian Gomez sitting in 7th, Christina Ryan in 8th. Kevin Young in 9th, but of course they're getting their stops. Once again, fans at home, your favorite driver's name is abbreviated on the bottom of your screen. The time within the brackets, pit stop time, time to the left of the brackets, their pit lane time. Mulkey leads, Belleville in 2nd, Mulkey down pit road, and JK's on his way down. Clay, Belleville also follows. Luke Smith in 3rd. Will Smith try to lead a lap or stay? Nope, Smith is in. Hunter Peach stays out, and the 2-6 of Hunter Peach, the Xfinity ace, goes to the lead at Indianapolis. He's your new leader.
He's had a couple laps, so he has to come in. Mulkey, Belleville, and Smith all pit on the same lap last time. Peach last pit on lap 53, so he's got another lap that he can kind of stay out here if he wants to. He can kind of go to 78, I believe, is sort of where his limit is. But it should cycle out to Gomez, Ryan, and Young once again in the top 3. All 3 of them had a really good pit stop, and all 3 of them are right there together. So they're going to hold on there. Mulkey just exited pit lane, but now he's lost time to Kevin Young because they're already by him as he gets on the monoplane.
Christian Gomez, one of the leaders at the time of the pit stop cycles starting, 23 seconds behind Hunter Peach, obviously, but Christina Ryan following within 4/10. And KY, Kevin Young, he sits in that 4th position right now. Jack Mulkey behind him in 5th. Brent Roberts rounding out the top 10, just leaving pit road with Luke Smith ahead. Here comes Hunter Peach, the race leader, yet to come down pit road, Clay. He last pitted on lap 53. And quick math would tell you we can expect him at the most within the next 5 laps.
I believe he's coming in between now and lap 80. I don't see him lasting too awful long here, and he's coming in now. He's coming in 25 laps.
There it is, Hunter Peach down pit road. He's in, but will he make it down to the limiter? He does get under those 60 miles an hour. It's going to be 4 tires, and I was just going to say Sunoco Racing fuel, but that's not right. It's Speedway brand fuel, isn't it?
Yeah.
Speedway.
Yeah, it catches some people off all the time.
Speedway branded fuel going in that 2.6 Gainbridge machine, but here comes Chris Gomez. He's going to be your new leader, and Hunter Peach will round out the pit stop cycles here on lap 79. And how about that? We got through a pit stop cycle without a caution coming out. 79 laps underway, Clay. Christina Ryan's in 2nd and Kevin Young's in 3rd. The top 3 hasn't changed. Is this going to be the way it is for the entire race? What's going to force these drivers to come together besides the obvious caution?
It's going to be difficult for Mulkey. He's separated from his teammate. Mason Turner's in 6th. Mulkey's in 4th. Neither of them had a really good pit stop cycle. They were pretty slow coming into pit lane. And I think that Turner had a bobble coming out of pit lane on the warm-up lane, which kind of exacerbated that problem. For Mulkey, he's in a bit of a catch-22. He's in clean air, which is great, but he's the group he's trying to catch is a 3-car group, and that's where the group is the fastest, when there's just 3 cars in it. Because Kevin Young can kind of sit, can kind of save fuel, what he's doing right now, whereas Gomez and Ryan, they're leading this train. And they're not dealing with dirty air nearly as much. They're able to sort of navigate the lap traffic as they deal with it. Nothing's holding them back. Nothing's creating a bit of a accordion back to Mulkey. There's nothing there. So for Mulkey, it's just, even if he drops back to Belleville and Turner, he's going to have to make up 8 seconds to make that happen, or up now 10 seconds if you're slowing down to Turner. A caution is really his best bet, or he needs all 3 of them to mess up a pit stop at some point in this race. 120 laps to go. It can happen. But these 3, obviously very well versed to ABN's other activities. ABN 1, 2, 3. Definitely put my fist in the air for that one. But it's not over yet. Mulkey has been in worse positions as Taju spun coming into pit lane. You see the debris at the pit entry. His day continues to get rough. He crashed coming out of pit lane under a green flag pit stop that put him 3 laps down, and it's only gotten worse for him as he might have a bit longer stop here for some repairs.
Todd Sue looking like he just lost control of his hot rod on the way into pit lane, and he gives a big slam to the right front tire of that Indy car. And Todd's going to have to reevaluate his racing strategy, while Repeat drops 200 bits in the chat. He says, appreciate you, Rick. I appreciate you, Pete. You are the absolute man. Thank you so much for coming through. And obviously, stay as long as you like. Send my love to Mrs. 1975 and the rest of the family. White Walker 86 says, ouch. Talk about it. That was a heavy hit for Sue. Sears to the inside of Luke Smith. This is the move for the 10th position, and the Massachusetts pilot can't quite pull it off, but he's got to get a move on because over the last 5 laps, Clay, it's been this driver starting to catch him up. Tommy Withers getting a bit closer to his good friend Sears. Again, both a couple of stock car aces, but tonight trading the heavy V8s for the turbocharged lightweight V6. We're slowly approaching the halfway mark. Clay, Tommy Withers in the top dozen.
Yeah, Withers doing a really good job. He said he was kind of waiting, going to kind of let it all come to him. It really has come to him. He's up 4 spots just by being patient as Smith and Sears go side by side for the 11th spot. Looks like Smith's going to keep a hold of it at the moment, having a little bit of latency there. Turner's in pit lane. Is this problem for Turner, or did he have an odd stop?
Mason Turner coming in. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. He's coming in well off cycle. You're exactly right. Stupid Puck in the chat says, stop for a shower, and Crouch is 2 laps down. What happened? Possibly the pit stop getting to a Mason Turner on his way down pit road. No alerts for a car crashing down pit lane, so possibly, maybe just a scrape, maybe knocked the alignment off. Alex Simkowski in the chat says, let's go, Jack. Don't let the team down. Cheering on for one Mr. Jack Mulkey in that 6-0. He's now behind Noah Belleville. Let's go on board, Mulkey. This is the chase for 4th.
There's another issue for Taub as well. Trying to double check to see what's going on. He was hoping for a yellow there, but he didn't get it. Not sure what he's talking about there. Might have been with Mason Turner. I believe both were pretty close to each other on track. But either way, we stay green, so Taub's got to wait a little bit longer. As Ryan goes for the race lead.
Christina Ryan now to the inside of Christian Gomez. This for the top spot. Gomez in second. Kevin Young's in third. Noah Belleville in the 4th position, just barely. He's a couple of places up on Jack Mulkey. Ryan leads, and let's see that move on the outside, Clay. It looks like Ryan just used the draft and all her skill to slingshot to the front.
Yeah, these two know each other really well. They've been around each other at this point for years, part of ABN, a part of CRC. They've been phenomenal competitors throughout the years. Kevin Young, again, my co-commentator for this series most of the time, trading in the microphone for the racing gloves. Really hanging in his all there. Didn't know what to expect of it. Was out of his element, but he's taken to this well. He's taken the advice that people have given him, and he's running really, really well. I'm super impressed with that 72 is running right now. As long as he can stay here, this top 3 is going to be hard to beat.
Tommy Withers in the top 10. Bren Roberts has come down pit road, and that's a couple of cars that were sitting in the top 15 that have had a couple of afflictions, so that puts the Virginian into 9th. Mason Turner rounds out the top 10. Noah Belleville 4/10 ahead of Jack Mulkey, who rounds out that top 5, and Hunter Peach some distance behind. But it's been the Ryan Gomez Young show at the front of this race. Christina Ryan biding her time, pulling away with this lead. Kevin Young a bit close to that outside wall, but he stays patient behind Christian Gomez. Jack Mulkey also playing the same game behind Noah Belleville. Roberts hasn't left pit road, Clay. Something has gone wrong with that Vodafone car.
I believe he's tagged the wall again. He's already used both his fast repairs. So it was going to be a bit of a hit when he had to come back down pit lane there. But I do believe it is a toe link issue that they're trying to fix. They can fix it. It's just going to take them a little bit of time. He's going to lose 2 or 3 laps here on pit lane. Something to comment about Gomez there. He started losing time because he started trying to put a little bit. He started trying to go a little bit lower, and he clipped the curbing, and he almost lost the car. He stabilized it, but he almost completely jumped the car here on lap 89.
Mulkey now behind Belleville. Belleville again, our hardest charger, up 16 places from where he started this race. The leader's putting an absolute hurting on this field. 9 cars still on the lead lap, with Tommy Withers being the last of those 9. He's entering turn 1 now as Christina Ryan comes down the front straight. And now it seems like space tranquility, well, relative tranquility, I should say, has come to these high-octane Indy cars. The top three running away with this one. Noah Belleville 7 seconds behind and under heavy pressure from Jack Mulkey.
Yeah, now everyone's pretty aware now of where they're at, what they've got, minus hiccups. Mason Turner off sequence here. Tom Sears came down pit lane on lap 84, so he's off sequence now. Not sure if this is a planned thing or if people are just kind of making gambles or having to adjust to incidents that happen on track here, but it's definitely shaking up this the bottom of the edge of the top 10.
Absolutely, Belleville now snaking down that track. Mulkey weaving around Belleville's backside into that first corner, looking to slot his way through into that fourth position, but Mulkey will just have to hang around the outside and hope to get a better entrance out of that second corner. Belleville and Mulkey running fourth and fifth.
Yeah, this is a really good battle. Belleville, very experienced. Just in general, he can drive the wheels off anything. Mulkey, very experienced in this car. Both of them, if a caution comes out and it bunches the field together, both of them have a really good shot at challenging Young, Gomez, and Ryan here. It just, they had to get to the field to make it happen, and that's going to make life a little bit more difficult. Because now they need something dramatic to happen, and everyone's spread out to a point where it's going to be difficult to find a yellow that can happen, as that is Withers that spun.
Tommy Withers has a crash on lap 91. He is wounded and running slow, sitting in that 9th position. He's gone down a lap. B. Todd says, attaboy, Tommy. He does keep it moving, but at what cost? Let's see what happened to the 66.
Too much weight jacker. Too much weight jacker. You can see it get ready to snap on the bottom, and he didn't touch the apron. He didn't touch the curbing. It just, the back of the car got away from him.
And he keeps it moving. He did not touch a thing, so for some possible flat-spotted tires or maybe just a bit of worn Firestones, Withers...
If you hit the roll wrong, it tears everything up and you can't go anywhere.
On cold tires and hoping to keep it on the straight and narrow, Tommy Withers comes back out onto the racetrack in the 12th position. He finds himself 2 laps off the pace after that brilliant recovery in the short shoot of 1 and 2. Christina Ryan leads Chris Gomez by 0.3 of a second. 5 ticked on the board, and Ryan and Gomez have dominated the top spot all night long. Kevin Young sits in 3rd. Noah Belleville 7 seconds off the pace, and Jack Mulkey, he's lost considerable time to Belleville, but is Mulkey just in conservation mode, knowing that all he can do is ride around?
The issue with being Mulkey at the moment is that you need a yellow to come out at this point. Because I don't think you can save enough fuel for it to matter. I think that's sort of the bad part about where he's at right now, is that now he's not in a position where saving fuel can help him. And now he's losing time to Belleville. He's lost a second. He's almost out of Belleville's draft. I almost want to believe he might have scraped the wall at some point to lose that time, but it's definitely not typical for him. As Ryan says that she's coming in, 80 car coming down pit lane, and so will Gomez.
Christina Ryan coming down pit road. You're looking at Jack Mulkey being quicker than Hunter Peach over the last 5 laps. We'll see what the difference is, but again, on lap 97, the leaders decided to come down pit road just 22 laps after their first stop, and there it is. Ryan's in, Gomez in, Kevin Young is in, coming down to a very abrupt 60 miles an hour, and the Cincinnati native comes down for Tires Speedway Race Fuel. And the new leader is Noah Belleville in the number 41 GoDaddy machine. He's up 19 places from where he started play. Great run for Belleville.
Yeah, to get yourself into the race lead, a caution coming out now would change everything. Because that's what Mulkey and Belleville and Peach would need. But for Ryan Gomez Young, they're doing everything correct here. All 3 of them, they're staying together, they're sticking together, no doubt. We're working together. They're comfortable with each other here. For Belleville and Mulkey, Belleville comes in. Mulkey will stay out. This is Mulkey's best chance here. Just stay out as long as you can. Hope something happens. with, I believe, we have 15 cars still running.
Jack Mulkey, your new leader at the racing capital of the world. Spidey, SCC in the chat goes, let us know what's on your mind, Spidey. Let us know what you're wondering about. Jack Mulkey to the front once again just before this halfway mark. Hunter Peach, fastest lap of his race, 40.78 seconds as Noah Belleville leaves pit road. There is Christina Ryan with Chris Gomez in tow. Kevin Young just behind them, but it looks like he's losing a bit of ground, and this could be where the leaders start to break away. Mulkey comes down pit road with 101 left on the board, Clay.
Yeah, for Ryan and Gomez, pretty self-explanatory there. I think Young had a bit of a slow pit entry there. I don't think it's going to affect him too awful much. He's still very much within range. I think Gomez is going to kind of help him out here a little bit. But yeah, Mulkey's in. Peach stayed out. He's going to stay out for a couple more laps beyond this. Spidey SCC is James Pierce, for those that are unfamiliar with him. He was third in points entering the day. He's in Orlando, so enjoy vacation there, James. We'll see you at Belial next week. But he's definitely tuning in, seeing how the competition's doing here at Indianapolis.
Hunter Peach still being scored as your race leader as he comes down pit road. Will he lead that 101st lap, or that 100th lap, I should say? He crosses that yard of bricks and does lead lap 100, so we are officially halfway into this race. Christina Ryan will retake the lead, and she will become the new leader once more. Chris Gomez in second. Kevin Young sits in the bronze medal spot. It's been the status quo all race long, but now Noah Belleville moves into fourth. Jack Mulkey behind him by almost 1.5 seconds. Mason Turner's turn to come up through that field. Toby Estes in 8th. Luke Smith in 9th. Kyle Taub sitting in that 10th position. Tom Sears on the outside. Tommy Withers in 12th. Good race so far. If you've recently tuned in, you're listening to Clay Hardy and Rick James. This is the 500 miles of Indianapolis presented by Net, and we've completed our second green flag pit stop cycle. We're now on the back 9, Clay. The race is half done. Driver, what's the mission now?
So you survive the insane calamities. Now it's just don't lose concentration. This is where endurance comes into play. This is where you make sure that you're hydrated. This is where you make sure that you're keeping yourself focused, whatever it is. So you're talking to somebody, or you're gonna start getting very fidgety. Well, obviously with Ryan and Gomez, and Kevin Young's gonna lose time here because he was behind Donald Ray. But if you're sort of on your own here, it's gonna be a bit of an interesting situation.
Donald Ray jumping to the pits. He's crashed on lap 100. Let's see what happened to the Texan. Gets loose. Does he get help? He slams into the wall there. You see Ray with a bit of a Tokyo drift out of that third corner. One more look. Just a lot of understeer out of the, oversteer, I would say. And it looks like he might have gotten just a bit of a love tap, but really nothing you can do. And as they say, he's a passenger at that point. So Donald Ray is going to get hit in that number 5 machine. Christina Ryan continues to lead 104 laps into this race. Bit of a technical difficulty there. It looks like the stream might have just picked up once again. We apologize for that, but thank you for sticking through. Chris Gomez sits 0.3 of a second behind the race leader. Jack Mulkey starting to creep up to Noah Belleville once again, but this time, will Mulkey be able to get around Belleville and stay around Belleville? Hunter Peach in 6th, Tom Sears in 10th, Clay.
It's going to be super interesting. Peach is very much in the conversation at 10 seconds off of Mulkey, so he's going to need a little bit of help. Mulkey and Belleville, they found each other, but they can't really do anything. The only benefit right now is that they're going to catch Kevin Young here. But when they catch Kevin Young, how much time's going to be on the board? That's a big question for them to ask. Kevin Young, he says he has no damage from that incident with Donald Ray. He says he missed it as he almost slides in turn 3, clipped the apron, clipped the curbing there. But yeah, Kevin Young, he's going to fall down to the clutches. Just if it's with 50 laps to go, it's too little too late. They're going to need to get him well earlier than that. And I mean, there's still about 5.5 seconds. You think about it, it's a second every 2 or 3 laps. That's going to put them about the 150 mark, and they're not going to have enough time.
Kevin Young now well off the top 2. Mason Turner has decided he wants to come down pit road. Another scheduled stop for the 06, but of course he's off cycle. He's rolling the dice now in the back 9. And Clay, I wouldn't say it's too early to try and go for the long ball, considering he hasn't really cracked the top 3 yet. It could play out in Turner's favor, but if it doesn't play out, he loses absolutely nothing. It's all about the win today.
The way it's looking right now, the leader should have enough fuel to make it to the end of the race if it stays straight the rest of the way. What Mason Turner is doing right now is he's putting himself in a position where he's guaranteeing he's 5 laps to the good. So, while Ryan and Gomez are going to be very tight on fuel here at the end, because they're pitting every 25 laps, so 125, 150, so on and so forth, Turner can turn it up a little bit. So if he can find that traffic, or if he can challenge them and mess with them, make them use a little bit more fuel, then it's going to really create an interesting dynamic of, do they have to save fuel, or do they have to come in for a splash and dash? That's a really interesting conversation that I don't think anyone's really prepared for so far this race.
Kevin Young sitting in that 3rd spot, and you can see the leaders just racing off into the distance while Jack Mulkey gets the 4-1 of Noah Belleville into his reach. If you're Mulkey, Clay, do you really just press the issue? Because it seems like Mulkey has been more than content to ride behind the 4-1 of Belleville. And we've got to just mention once again, Belleville's racing on a gamepad, not with a steering wheel and pedals like many of the drivers tonight. He's done an excellent job so far in that top 4. Mulkey closing the gap. This is one of our closest battles so far, Clay, and I'm just wondering if this is prime position for Jack to save his stuff for that last 50-lap blast.
It's gonna be difficult. It's a bit of a diminishing return, I guess. But yeah, Mulkey can press the issue of Belleville, but they're not catching Young. The gap is still 5.5 between Belleville and Young. If Mulkey can't close that gap either, then Kevin Young kind of gets to stay stuck in 3rd. What he's trying to do now, as we're watching, he's trying to stay behind Belleville and kind of just use a bit of almost bump drafting. Try not to touch him, obviously, but try to kind of bump draft him well and try to gain some speed. It doesn't work very well, but he's trying anything. He's definitely trying. He just doesn't want to lead. He doesn't think the slingshot passing is going to work. But you're running out of options, and there's not really a lot that they're able to do. Nothing has worked so far. There's no reason to really push the issue. Just kind of wait for it to fall, and if it doesn't fall the right way, then you know you have 4th in reach. He's able to pass him. Yeah, Mulkey's just in a really bad spot. I think he is just waiting. I don't think there's a lot that he can really make happen here other than pass Belleville for 4th and Belleville just pass him back. I think that's more frustrating for him than what he's doing right now.
Experienced a bit of technical difficulties over the last few minutes. We apologize for those dropped frames, but we're going to get it back together. Noah Belleville, he's in that 4th spot trying to defend on the inside from Jack Mulkey. Cohiba Racer in the chat says hi, and that's my buddy Shane from one of the good folks over at CorvetteParts.net. And of course, we got to give a shout out to the presenters of this race, and of course, the top 3 prize pack. And if you didn't know, now you know. Corvette Parts with actually a decent little store, not just Corvette Parts. They've been doing that since 1958, if you can believe it, Clay. I'm sorry, they haven't been doing it since 58. They've been doing it for 35 years. They've got all the parts from any Corvette you can imagine from 58 until today, and they sell NASCAR die-cast as well. starting at like $7 for the 164s. They've got great throwback diecast. I've got one actually for the NASCAR fans out there. The 2000 Jeff Burton Exide throwback that Matt DiBenedetto ran in the 32. Yeah. I've got that one, and it looks amazing under this magenta light. But head on over to CorvetteParts.net, pick up all the wonderful diecast and NASCAR merch you can imagine. And again, a big thanks over to TJ, Tom, and Shane, and everybody else over at CorvetteParts.net, the folks over in Cleves, Ohio, and everybody else around the United States helping us with this great race tonight. They're providing our prizes for our top 3 drivers. And a shout out to you, Clay, and everybody over at ABN providing cash prizes for our race winner tonight.
Yeah, it's an interesting battle right now between Gomez and Ryan for that top spot. Kevin Young sitting still, very comfy. Actually has pulled away from Belleville and Mulkey. So what Mulkey was trying to do has sort of backfired because now the gap is over 6 seconds. So Belleville, whatever it is, has been really flustered by what Mulkey's been trying to do. It's taken more of the balance out of his car than what it has to help him. But now it's a 6-second gap. Young's starting to catch up a little bit to the race leaders as they battle for the race lead. He's now just 1.6 behind the race leader. As Ryan leads, or Ryan follows Gomez here. This is without a yellow. This is how the front of the field is going to look like for a little bit. They're going to need to mess something up, and both of these 2 drivers pretty clutch at the end of this race. So we'll see who comes out on top here. I think a lot of it is setting up at some point for the later stages of this race. Kyle Talb has had an incident. He's had a serious incident, but he was on his own, so it stayed green.
Talb running in that 13th position right now. He's in the pits getting repairs. Christian Gomez continues to lead in that 27 Lysol car. It was 2007 when the 27 car for Andretti Green Racing made its way into victory lane under the showers here at the racing capital of the world. Dario Franchitti, the Scottish driver, was piloting that race car when he came to victory lane. 1995, Canadian Jacques Villeneuve for Team Green brought the 27 car into victory lane in the mid-90s edition of the Indianapolis 500. 1947, Lou Moore, Maury Rose racing for Lou Moore in an Offenhauser, won just after the war. Will the 27 car go to victory lane one more time in the hands of Chris Gomez? We've got just over 80 laps left to find out. Chris Ryan sits in second. Kev Young sits in third. Jack Mulkey now pestering Noah Belleville for that 4th position. But as you mentioned, Clay, really not a lot that can be done at the moment without draft help from Kevin Young in 3rd.
Yeah, Kevin's he's in the no man zone. He's actually getting help from Christina Ryan now. He's caught up to Ryan because Donald Ray has kind of slipped all 3 of the leaders. So this allows the top 3 to get back together. Ray is going to stay out of the way, going to be really tight. But Kevin Young made sure it ducked there to try to hang on to Christina Ryan and Christian Gomez.
82 laps to go this time by in the 500 miles of Indianapolis. Jack Mulkey behind Noah Belleville. Hunter Peach outside of the top 5. Luke Smith 8.5 seconds behind him. There's 7 cars left on the lead lap, and Luke Smith is the last of those 7 cars. He's behind Tommy Withers, currently running in 10th. 1 lap down. I'm sorry, 2 laps down. The 06 of Mason Turner is the first and only car 1 lap down. So if the caution does come out, Turner does get his lap back, and he'll be back on the same circuit as the leaders. 80 laps to go the next time they come around the field. Christina Ryan continuing to lead. Christian Gomez in second. The top 5 just has not changed. Matter of fact, the top 7 hasn't changed at all. It seems to just be battles between the top 5, the top 3, and then 4th and 5th, but we're getting into those stages. Kevin Young down pit road. Clay, this is Kevin's last chance to get in the lead, or at the very least, get one over on his top 3 rivals.
I'm not sure I agree with this pit stop either. He's pit 5 laps early. He's put himself in a position where he has to splash and dash at the end of this race, because that means he can only go to lap 195 at the end. So, but he's hoping... Actually, no, the leader's coming in too. Everyone's reacting.
Christina Ryan, Christian Gomez, all following Kevin Young's lead. Is he coming down pit road to for purposefully, or is he just forcing everyone to call his bluff? Ryan's in. Gomez attacks pit lane here. 80 laps to go when they cross the line. Just 160 miles remain in tonight's 500-miler, the longest race of the season, the most prestigious race of the season. Prizes up for grabs courtesy of CorvetteParts.net and ABN, and it could all come to a head now with 80 laps to go. Jack Mulkey to the lead. Pit stop cycles once again begin, and if a caution comes out now as the sun shines on this gray Indianapolis sky, we could have an all-time finish.
Mulkey's number is 125 right now. That is what he is aiming for. He's getting around Donald Ray here. It's going to be close, but now we know the leaders have 3 more stops. We know they have 3 more stops. That is definitive. Mulkey can work with that number now. Because if he can pit on 25, that means his last pit stop's on 195. He's looking good. He is looking good. He just has to make it to lap 125. If he can make 25 laps per stop, he's looking phenomenal.
Noah Belleville, sitting in the 6th position, was his rival before the pit stop cycle began. Belleville ahead of Mulkey. He's got the fresher tires, and presumably he's going to pull away from Mulkey. Watching your closer rival now pull away with fresher tires. Is it he's just hit the wall. Jack Mulkey's just made contact with the outside wall. Have a listen. Still singing at full song, and it doesn't appear to be any injuries to that race car. Mulkey still humming along beautifully, Clay.
Yeah, he got away with that one. But that's the dirty... Oh, there's something. He was a little bit loose there in the 3. There might be something off with that car. He is going to bail here. He had to think about it, but he will bail.
Well, Jack Mulkey couldn't have picked a better time to come down pit road. He is in. Hunter Peach sits in that 2nd position. He's also diving down pit road with just over 75 circuits remaining. Christina Ryan sits in 3rd. 8/10 is the difference between her and Chris Gomez. Kevin Young sits in 5th. Sign-in in the chat says he might not have gotten away with it after all. We'll see when Jack leaves pit road, but this could be the money stop, as they say. Christina Ryan now comes back into the lead. 77 laps remain.
Yeah, right now, it's kind of sitting pretty for all 3 of them. Kevin Young has lost a lot of time on this pit stop cycle. It did not pay out for him. He pit on his own, and I am assuming that he was using Gomez and Ryan as a bit of a reference marker for pit lane. Pitting on his own just didn't help him out any at all. Whereas Ryan and Gomez could still work together, and that working together is sort of paying off because they've got a 10-second gap almost to Jack Mulkey now. Just absolutely phenomenal. Very efficient work by Ryan and Gomez. They're making sure that it's them at the top of the standings, and they'll figure it out themselves who's going to win this one.
Donnie Crouch comes down pit road. He's sitting in the 11th position. This is one of the most prestigious, if not the most prestigious race of the season. White Walker 86 asking if anyone else's stream is skipping back and forth. That is a possibility. Let me know, fans in the chat, if it's not just Kurt. I'll see what I can do to get that fixed. It looks like the bit rate is going just a little haywire here. So let me know if we're having issues. He says it repeats backwards a second or two every 30 seconds. And it looks like we have had some drop frames in the last 25 minutes. But let me know if we're having issues. It's not the first time. Achy Breaky in the chat says it's fine for me. Do give it a refresh. Let me know. Let's see what we can do. But I appreciate you. Please let me know if we do have some issues here. I know that the stream did split and stop there for a moment. But anyway, back to Racing Matters, Clay. It is really just the Ryan and Gomez show. And they have just separated themselves from the rest of the field. So, if anything else, we've got to give credit to these top two because they have put an absolute beautiful shift in tonight, and we know that they're going to give us some fireworks all the way to the end. So kudos to them for surviving so far. Massachusetts Tom Sears, he's survived a good chunk of this race despite being involved in a heavy accident early on. He and Bren Roberts in the Vodafone machine came together. Kevin Young, 2.5 seconds off that top two, Clay. It looks like barring a late race caution, the top two, Ryan and Gomez, now have to settle it amongst themselves.
I think that was sort of the game plan that they kind of had. Both of them, they're friends off the track, but they're fierce competitors on the track. They know where they want it to be. They're very knowledgeable. This is sort of their MO. If they can do it, especially on the ovals, whether it's Daytona, Indianapolis, wherever it is, they know how to make sure it's them at the end battling for the top prize. It sort of just worked out well for them. Drivers have sort of bitten themselves. Kevin Young hanging in there a little bit, but pit lane mistakes has thrown him out of the conversation for the race win here. But he's still, I think, pretty happy with where he's at right now, being third after thinking that he was going to be down in the low teens. Really good work for that 72 car. Yet no one's got the efficiency that they've got. Obviously, Mulkey and Turner no longer on the same game plan for Simcoe Racing. Hunter Peach had an issue. He's recovered nicely. Went a lap down early. Now he's sitting in 6th place here, doing a really good job. Now he's within range to try to battle for that top 5. Put himself in front of Luke Smith there. So a lot of the interesting stuff's going to be who can recover the best, who had issues here. Obviously, Sears, Estes, Withers, Turner, Crouch, Ray, all of them have had issues at some point in this race. Whereas Gomez and Ryan have had a faultless race so far. Consistency is key here, and these two are the king and queen of consistency in ABN.
Meanwhile, the Jesters sitting in 4th and 5th respectively, Jack Mulkey and Noah Belleville complete that pit stop cycle. Canadian Todd Sue now back on the racing surface, and good to see Todd back amongst his friends after taking that heavy spill. Has he gone again immediately after leaving pit lane? Todd Sue trying to mow the grass on the back straight. Somebody please tell Todd they've done it already. And that black 13 about to get black and blue with his unlucky driving habits tonight. Sue back on the racing surface, and hopefully it stays that way until the checkered flag. Simon in the chat says, royalty of consistency perhaps. And look who it is, Keen Corvette Parts into the Twitch chat tonight. Again, gotta give a lot of love to the folks over at Corvette Parts. We'll get there in a moment. Tommy Withers has had an incident in the 66, Clay. Let's have a look. There he is, just grinding his race car along the inside wall. What happened to the Virginian? Let's have another look. No, this was, you know what? This was on lap 128. This was the crash earlier, that heavy crash for Withers. And it looks like it's gone again, because this is the second time that Withers has crashed on the inside wall, and the Virginian...
Yeah, this is a different accident, Now, he just used another fast repair, so he's out of fast repairs now, but he had both of them in hand, which was fantastic. But obviously he had to tow back to pit lane. Surprised that wasn't a yellow. That probably should have been.
The racing surface was certainly blocked, and what could have been a caution isn't. Much to the chagrin of everybody third on back, but to the delight of the leaders. And speaking of leaders, it could be a change for those leaders. Chris Gomez goes around Christina Ryan, new leader inside the final 70 laps. King Corvette Parts says awesome coverage, and a big shout out to everybody at CorvetteParts.net. And once again, we've just got to mention. They are more than a parts store. They are the ultimate car part experience. From 1958 to 2022, any Corvette part you can imagine, they've got it. And not only parts, but of course exciting merchandise to accessorize your garage. From NASCAR diecasts, throwback NASCAR apparel, and your favorite Corvette-themed merchandise, CorvetteParts.net is your one-stop Corvette shop. Find out more at CorvetteParts.net or on Twitter at Keen Parts. Todd Sue crashes on lap 122 in a big accident, and Hunter Peach has been involved. 2 cars going around there, Clay. The 2-6 of Hunter Peach, the 13 of Sue. And we stay cautionless despite those 2 cars colliding in turn number 2. We're still green. Christina Gomez leads. There's the yellow flag, Clay. There it is with 65 laps to go. Caution number 6 flies at the racing capital of the world.
Yeah, that was an interesting sort of slow response from race control there. Obviously, everyone was sort of looking at the incident with Tommy Withers there. And I guess race control was sort of distracted by that when the accident with Peach and Zhu happened, but the caution did come out there, rightfully so. This resets a lot of things.
Well, we get a chance to catch our breaths, which is absolutely lovely.
Absolutely.
It's been an absolute thrill so far. If you've just recently joined us, I'm Rick James, my excellent friend by my side, that smooth Cincinnati Bengals voiced fan is Clay Hardy to my side. We're on lap 135 of 200 in this 500 miles of Indianapolis presented by CorvetteParts.net. Caution number 6 just came out for Todd Sue and Hunter Peach colliding together in turn number 2. And now this has set up some fun strategy, Clay. Drivers are going to come down pit road for what could be the final time tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Hunter Peach out of this race, unfortunately. That throws one of the contenders that were hoping for a yellow out of it because he was involved in it. Todd Zhu now very much in trouble here. His race might as well be done. Mason Turner going to be an interesting person to watch. That 0-6, he is a lap down. Is he going to go for a wave around here? Actually, no, he gets Lucky Dog. So he is going to be on the lead lap in 7th place there.
A quick onboard look with Hunter Peach. You can see he just got into the back end of Todd Sue. Have another look on board that game bridge machine. It looks to me, Clay, like Sue just had to check up to avoid hitting the wall at a turn number 2. And by the time Hunter Peach realized it, there was just nothing that could be done. Let's see if we can have another look. And Canadian Shu gets turned, if you will, by Hunter Peach, but not much that could be done. So Christina Ryan continues to lead. Keen Corvette Parts in the Wall says, we're new to Twitch and have no clue about this. Well, welcome to Twitch. And very, very simply put, it's the medium we use to broadcast our love, our passion, our racing. Turning left, 247 just followed tonight. Again, shout out to everybody that's been involved. 247 following here. Repeat with 200 bits. Atlanta Racing rating with a party of 6 earlier. And, of course, we can't forget the man who is sharing his gorgeous racing series and the biggest race of the season with Rick James TV tonight. Clayton, thank you so much for being a part of the broadcast team. Thank you for being a part of this amazing second edition of this race. We're going to restart here with just over 60 laps to go. It's been an absolute blast.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I wouldn't miss this for the world. It's been a very interesting race so far. 6 caution, first caution in a long time since the beginning of the race. had a really good green flag run going, but now everyone's going to stack up. This is what Mulkey and Belleville and Smith and Turner needed to kind of throw themselves back in contention. Now they've got the opportunity. What are they going to do with it being 4th and 5th in line? It's typically difficult here, but with this opportunity, how aggressive are they going to be knowing they don't want to lose that position this time around? That's something that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. Mulkey's going to be aggressive. Belleville might be pretty aggressive here. We are starting to enter the closing stages. About 2 more stops left in this race.
Commando Griff in the chat says, just came back to see the entire field is out. Indy is tough. Indy is tough. iRacing is tough. Just absolute sensational drive tonight. Mama cheering for Smith in the chat. White Walker 86 putting in 26 bits for the 2-6 of Hunter Peach, who just had a terminal accident in turn number 2 that's knocked him out of this one. We're going to restart here just outside the final 62 laps. Christina Ryan will have control of the field. Christian Gomez in second. Kevin Young in that 3rd position. And Clay, we got exactly what we asked for. The field is bunched up and we're ready to go racing.
Yeah, it's a second chance for a lot of cars that were beginning to kind of lose spots, and everyone's going to kind of have a bit more intensity now. This is kind of where the points are made here. Ryan is going to have control of the lead. She's going to almost fake the start there on Gomez, but she goes green here. What does this mean? Kevin Young is taking the start there. Might hurt Mulkey a little bit as they all go screaming through turns 1 and 2. As we kind of sit here, we're going to look at the front of the field as they go by. Ryan still in the lead. Gomez, see if he can get a run going into turn 3. He does. Going to go for the race lead. Ryan will not contest it. Gomez to the front of the field, and that number 27, that Lysol machine. Gomez on point ahead of Christina Ryan. Then it's Kevin Young still holding on to 3rd place. Mulkey stays in 4th. Belleville 5th. Luke Smith 6th. Mason Turner at the last car in the lead lap in 7th. Working on Donnie Crouch, who is 2 laps down in 9th.
Tom Sears half a second behind Crouch in that 10th position. Tommy Withers is in 11th, 1 second behind the Massachusetts native. You just saw Todd Sue crash one more time, and that could be it for the Canadian. He's got a wounded hot rod, and he'll try and limp it into pit road while the leaders are coming in hot. Christina, that's $8 now. Christian Gomez leads this race. Christina Ryan sits in 2nd, and Kevin Young is in 3rd as Todd Sue kindly brings his race car off the racing surface. 61 more spins around Indy.
And what we're noticing here, Mulkey's still struggling. He's still falling back to Kevin Young in 3rd place here. He still hasn't found a way around that wall. He hasn't sort of game planned around that. I think he was sort of relying on the idea, I guess sort of rested on the idea that a caution wasn't going to come out. So he never thought about getting to this point. But now they're about to walk away from it again. He's about to watch the win of this race sort of just slip away in an even more cruel fashion because he had a chance to bring it back.
2-7, 8-0, 7-2. Your top 3. The 80 car has never gone to victory lane in the Indianapolis 500. Will it go to victory lane in the 500 miles of Indianapolis? Kev Young has yet to taste the top spot, but it makes him more hungry than anybody to get around these rivals. Is he the dark horse? Is he the sleeper among the top 3? Will Young have the moves to get around these leaders? The 72 car has been to victory lane in the Indianapolis 500 0 times. Kevin Young looking to be the first. Jack Mulkey sits in 4th. Noah Belleville 3 seconds behind him. Luke Smith and Mason Turner almost side by side here. That looks like
Johnny Crouch just tagged the wall.
Let's take a look at Crouch. He tagged the wall. There he is, slow. We stay green as it's a 1-car incident. The AMC number 11 with some heavy damage and it's playing out like a bad movie for Crouch. Almost nightmarish. Crouch will lose his top 10 position, and he's going to have to bring this one back to pit road. Hopefully, he makes it through. Let's see if we can find out what exactly. Crouch just out of turn number 1 there. Clay, it just looks like he just got a bit too high.
Yeah, he was really deep in the traffic there. He's already had trouble before, so it was a matter of time before I think he found it again there. He's made it down pit lane safely, which is the greatest thing that you want to see there. Someone be able to make it down pit lane under their own power. But yeah, he's struggling there. He was deep in the field, and thankfully everyone was able to kind of stay out of the way and avoid from making that be even worse. But yeah, bad luck for Crouch here at the 500, and it's gonna, for him, I think he's gonna have to go through and do a reset before going to Balao next week.
T-Money says, big hit for Withers. Tommy Withers, is he still running in one piece? He looks to be slow once again, and it's a huge hit for the Virginian. Luke Smith also fell off the racetrack. There's the 64 who's had a big crash. Huge crash for Smith, and they're dropping like flies now, Clay. Smith again goes loose, slams the inside wall. Withers also with a big crash, and the Virginian, a fan favorite, now wounded, and he has to get his race car repaired. 55 laps remain at the racing capital of the world. Christian Gomez, Christina Ryan, Kevin Young, your top 3. Mason Turner to the inside of Noah Belleville. This the move for 5th.
Yeah, it's a driver's being really aggressive at the end of this race, kind of forgetting about some things. It's definitely made it a bit more difficult for Withers and for Smith there. They're gonna drop probably to the cusp of the top 5 there. Crouch is still rolling. Donald Ray is still rolling, although Ray still got several laps to catch up to them. But yeah, really bad luck for Smith and Withers. Withers out of fast repairs, so I don't know how well he can come back here. I believe Smith's out of fast repairs as well. So they've got to repair those cars the long way around. They're not going to be the same when they get back on track.
Donald Ray 10 laps off the pace, but still participating, still fighting for every position he can, and you love to see it. You love that fighting spirit, and you love to see drivers, despite the ever downturned odds, still racing every last lap they can, and it's that 500 spirit that keeps us moving. Mason Turner, it's a top 5 spirit for me, he says. Mason in the 06 up to 5th. Belleville just behind him, and that's Tom Sears. He wants to play too. Let's go on board for a lap with the 1-4 of Sears in the ARCS machine. .224 miles an hour into that first corner for Noah Belleville. He's watching Tom Sears behind him. Belleville up 14 places from where he started as we approach the final quarter of this race. 50 laps remaining in, well, I'm getting ahead of myself, aren't I? It's got 52 laps remaining, isn't it? Christina Ryan ahead of Christian Gomez, Kevin Young in that top 3. That hasn't changed, and you can imagine that's going to be, in some order, your top 3 50 laps from now, but anything is possible. We still have at least one more pit stop for tires, Clay.
Yeah, at least one more stop. I believe we're probably looking at 2 stops is what we're looking at here. Because of how that caution came, how that 6th caution came, it's going to kind of put everyone in a 2-stop strategy. Noah Belleville complaining about a little bit of damage on the side of his car. Seems like he's tagged the wall a little bit. Tom Sears made note of it. Sears following along behind him at the moment, but Belleville definitely not 100% car at the moment. But pit stops will be coming up here in a few laps, so he'll be able to kind of get that taken care of. He has not used a fast repair so far this race. He'll be able to use one here.
There's Belleville. He's sitting 0.7 of a second behind Mason Turner, who seems to have found some peace and quiet inside the top 5. Turner brings his Dallara 1 second further ahead than Belleville, but it's still 10.5 seconds to Jack Mulkey. The 6-0 car is 1.5 seconds behind Kevin Young, 11 seconds ahead of Mason Turner, and over the last 5 laps, Clay, there you see the gap. Kevin Young no longer able, well, that time around, Kevin Young, look at that, half a second faster than Jack Mulkey, but what's causing the holdup here? Is Mulkey really going to make this a 4-way fight for first?
So what he's needing, so Kevin Young's adjusting his car here to be a little bit better in the draft here. What was happening before that was keeping Mulkey in the conversation was that Mulkey, or that Young was struggling a little bit. Like what he's doing right now, he's running on the outside lane to sort of stay out of the dirty air. Young was sort of creating a bit of accordion to allow Mulkey to hang on. Now that Young is running a different lane, Mulkey can't follow him. And it's creating that separation. That was what they did at the beginning after the 5th caution restart. And it's what they're doing now here. It worked before, it's working again, and now it's well-timed. Kevin Young going back to the well for what he knew worked, not being super creative like what he's trying to do at the middle of the race. That's where he kind of needed to be. Is he going to be a contender for this race win? I don't know if he's got the strength to kind of get through there. He's going to need Ryan and Gomez to battle really hard here at the end. And I don't know how much they're going to put in the line until like the last 5 laps. And who knows if Young's going to still be there at those last 5 laps. He's got to get through 2 pit stops, which have been his weakest link so far today.
Donnie Crouch crashes once again in the number 11 AMC machine that was torn to shreds outside turn number 2. And it's an immediate jump to pit lane for Crouch. We're inside the final 50 now. And it looks like these top 3 drivers will be getting those Keen Parts prizes in one form or another, but everybody gunning for that Corey LaJoie face mask car. That 124 diecast is going to be awarded, as well as a Keen Parts tumbler, and then $25 from ADN to our race winner tonight. Signing in the chat saying, from bad to worse, and from worse to terrible. Signing, not at all a fan of Crouch's performance tonight. But how about this guy here, Tommy Withers, still showing up and showing out. Withers finds himself in 9th, 4 laps off the pace, a whole 2 laps behind his next rival, Tom Sears. But it's so great to see these drivers still just trying their best and ultimately just here for the love of this sport.
Yeah, it's fantastic. At this point, everyone's exhausted. You're 150 laps in. You still got, 154 laps in now. You still got 46 laps to go when they cross the line here. Exhaustion becomes paramount. Being hot, being sweaty, being overworked, trying to make sure you're still hydrated here is super important. All of that starts to come to the front. Mental exhaustion becomes a really big, important thing here, especially if you're someone like Turner or Belvoir, where you're not attached to the leaders here. You don't have that cat and mouse chase mentality. It's not, the adrenaline's not quite kicked in there like what it is with the top 3. And for Mulkey, his adrenaline's kicking out of frustration because they've just walked away from him again. But they're not completely out of reach yet. A bobble by one of these 3 can easily put him back in the conversation. But it's an interesting conversation here with these top 3 as Gomez leads the bunch. They've got their routine figured out. They just got to keep it together for these next 45 laps.
Mulkey has got a smell of that draft, Clay. You saw last time around, he was 7/10 quicker than Kevin Young. And you can tell he's got that draft because he's within 1 second now. The race by traffic. That's Todd Sue on the inside and one other driver getting out of the way of the leaders.
That was Donald Ray.
That was Donald Ray and Todd Sue out of the way of the leaders. Christian Gomez continues to lead. Christina Ryan's in second. Welcome Jack Mulkey to the top 3 party, and it's become a top 4 party now. And the surprises keep on coming. 44 laps remain, and Jack Mulkey has decided he wants to fight for this race win.
Yeah, the lap traffic definitely has him out there, putting him in the reins, but immediately, as soon as the lap traffic got out of the way, they started pulling again. He's struggling a little bit there. They immediately opened back up to 7/10 of a second. He's got to make sure he stays within a second of Kevin Young to really have a chance here. And Kevin Young's doing a really good job. He was doing a good job beforehand of staying a little bit higher, getting some more clean air on that front wing, doing what Ryan and Gomez weren't doing. But he's taking that line away from Mulkey, who almost tags the wall, might have just did.
Jack Mulkey has a love affair with cutting it close, and he may have just slammed that wall. Bit of a lag there, or a blink from Mulkey as the leaders are now fighting for it. Christina Ryan has to defend her top spot from Christian Gomez in second. Jack Mulkey within 0.6 of a second to Kevin Young. Is the car wounded? Does he have some semblance of a draft? Still 1, possibly 2 more pit stops remaining before the end of this race, and one driver can call themselves the CorvetteParts.net 500 Miles of Indianapolis champion. Say that 500 times fast. Christina Ryan leads Christian Gomez. Noah Belleville is in, and this may just start the final or penultimate set of pit stops.
Yeah, there will be one set of pit stop after this, but the leaders are coming in this time over the radio with the 80, the 27, and the 72 all confirmed.
Keep your eye in the bottom right-hand corner. 60 miles an hour is the speed. Ryan woes it down to 60, puts the brakes on. Top 3 are in. Jack Mulkey, your new leader. He sings the song of his people at 223 miles per hour. It will be 40 laps to go. Next time by Mulkey, Ryan, Gomez, your top 3. But of course, pit stop cycles are in full effect. Look at the bottom of your screen. You'll see your driver's last name abbreviated, their pit lane time ticking on the left, and their total pit stop time. In those brackets, Mulkey is in, Clay.
Yeah, Mulkey stayed a little bit longer. Now, it's not going to really matter a whole bunch right here. The next pit stop window, we're assuming everyone's going to kind of cut it even, going to cut it at 20 laps down the middle and pit on lap 180 and make it to the end. We know everyone can make it 25 laps. So we assume between laps 180 to 185 is the final round of pit stops, provided another caution doesn't come out here. But Mulkey comes in on his own. I'm not sure how effective that's going to be because he's now going to be firmly out of the draft again. Kevin Young, also another slow pit stop, will put him out of the draft as well. He's going to be potentially in threat of Mulkey, so Mulkey could still get 3rd place here. But Ryan and Gomez, again, very efficient in what they're doing. Just got to hold it together for another 39 laps.
Christina Ryan leading this race. Christian Gomez is in second. Look at Jack Mulkey, who rejoins the racing surface in 3rd. Beautiful. Clay, unbelievably good move. Kevin Young spent 1.3 seconds in pit lane longer than Jack Mulkey, despite identical pit stop times. And that right there is a testament to attacking the entrance and the exit of pit road. Jack Mulkey making the pass not on the racetrack, but in the pit lane, using the delta to his advantage. Game on, Jack Mulkey.
Yeah, that's what he needed to do. He had a way better pit stop than I thought he did. He had the best pit stop that cycle, 37.62 total pit lane time. Christina Ryan had a 37.97, not bad. Gomez 38.1. Kevin Young 38.7, which is why he fell off so bad. Looks like Todd Zhu might be in the wall. No, somebody else is in the wall. It's Withers.
Tommy Withers, Clay,
Withers.
the Virginian, into the wall, and he jumps to the pits immediately. That may be it for him. It's his 4th incident tonight. We'll have to see how long it takes to fix that damage. Approaching the final 35 laps now. Still one more pit stop for these dedicated pilots. Christina Ryan, Christian Gomez, and welcome into the top 3 for the first time today, Jack Mulkey. But his work not done. He can't get up to the top 2 because Kevin Young has decided he wants his bronze medal position back. And these two scything left and right through the 3rd and 4th corners under the gray Indianapolis skies. 163 revolutions complete at the 2.5-mile Cathedral. Clayton Hardy, who's going to win this race?
It's hard to bet against the 80 or the 27, but Mulkey's an aggressive driver. If he can make it stick here, he's going to try. But Kevin Young's not making it easy. They're going to lose time the more they battle here.
Single file, the name of the game. Barbaric Mustard in the chat says, had to retire early, was running well the first 90 laps or so, and unfortunately, Donald Crouch retiring. He's officially in the 11th position at the moment. Donald Ray being scored 11 laps down in 10th. The Texan continues to fight on. Tommy Withers getting his car repaired. Donald Ray may overtake him if he can make another 3 or 4 laps while Withers is in pit road. Tom Sears, a couple of laps off the pace. He's running 17 seconds behind Toby Estes in 7th. Noah Belleville finds himself on the lead lap, 5 seconds behind Mason Turner, who's rounding out the top 5, 12 seconds behind this driver here, who's just lost 3rd again to Kevin Young, and Young has an opportunity to catch up to the leaders while Ryan and Gomez have to stumble with lap traffic. 35 laps to go, Clay.
Yeah, Mulkey got jumped by Kevin Young there, which is what he did not want, because Kevin Young can get a little bit of help from Gomez and Ryan here, and that's what he's done. Kevin Young has gotten help from Gomez and Ryan, and they've pulled away from Mulkey again. Mulkey had the best position, but he's not been able to handle that dirty air. Even when he was the 3rd car in line, he's been skunked here, and that's going to be difficult for him.
If you've recently tuned in, what a race it has been. Clayton Hardy by my side. I'm Rick James. You're watching the 500 Miles of Indianapolis presented by CorvetteParts.net. Race leaders Christina Ryan and Christian Gomez getting around Canadian Todd Sue on the front straight. 167 now the numbers on the board. Still one more pit stop before these drivers can call it quits. Clay, we talked earlier about the exhaustion, and you're asking in the chat now, who do you all have? Would you put mental fortitude above driving skill at this point? The drivers are tired. At this point, your knuckles have got to be sore from how hard you're gripping that steering wheel. And it is just focus, focus, focus.
These two drivers, Ryan and Gomez at the front of the field, the 80 and the 27, they both are endurance experts. They've raced Super GT. They've been in the 24 Hours of Daytona. They've done the 24 Hours of Le Mans. They've done Nürburgring races and races at Spa, the 6 Hours of Spa. They've done endurance races. For them, it's a matter of how stressed you've been. Whoever is leading with 5 to go, I think, has the handicap here. You do not want to be leading with 5 laps to go, because then you start overthinking things. Then you start overthinking your defense. You do not want to be the defender at that point. So whoever's in that unfortunate position, I think, is in the worst spot off. But we're in a position right now where the top 3 all have a shot at it. These cars are easy to drive when there's a group of 3. We've seen that throughout the race. I don't think that's going to change. I just don't think you want to be the leader. And whoever is the leader at the 5 laps to go mark is a sitting duck, because you're not going to get any help from the other 2 cars. It's going to be every person for themselves. Whether that's Ryan, whether that's Gomez, whether or not Kevin Young ends up being in that lame duck position, it's going to get hectic, it's going to get frantic. I think Ryan has the advantage just out of familiarity and recent experience in this car. But Gomez, after not being in this car since February, doing a phenomenal job, and can't count him out ever.
A female driver has never won a points race in ARCS This could be the first time Miss Christina Ryan leading the field just outside the final 27 laps. There you can see Jimmy Pierce not in the starting lineup tonight. Only 1 point separates him from Ryan in that 4th position. Chris Gomez comes into this race nowhere near the top 20 on a very limited Indy ARCS schedule. There goes Chris to the inside, trying to put that 27 on the top pedestal when the checkered flag flies. 30 laps to go at Indianapolis. Kevin Young in that 3rd spot. Will he have a chance to get up and play for that lead? Still, one more pit stop remains, Clay, and so many drivers have tried their hardest to survive, but the name of the game tonight has been endurance. Answering your question, Slowbird in the chat says, "Go Chrissy," cheering on for Christina Gomez. White Walker says he's cheering for Christina Ryan. And I just messed up Christian Gomez's name again. That's 10, isn't it? $10. Barbaric Mustard cheering for Christina Ryan inside the final 30 laps. One more pit stop to go, Clay. So, let me ask you, is it futile to try and pass here? Why not just ride around until the final stop? Jack Mulkey coming, by the way.
So that's why you kind of want to push here, because Mulkey is getting a little bit closer. They are slowing down. For Ryan, she won at Texas earlier in the season, so she's already got the accolade of being the first woman in ARCS to win a race
My
out
mistake.
of the bag.
My big mistake. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. It was a crazy race last lap pass. For those that haven't seen it, you want to go back and watch it. Fantastic race between her and Justin Carey at the end there. But they have allowed Mulkey to catch up here. He is now firmly in the fray, but they're saving up. They're 100% saving up for the finish here because they know that when they push, Mulkey's gone. So Mulkey, it's all in Mulkey's court. If he's going to make some magic happen here for Simcoe Racing, he's got to go against Velocity Autosport with Gomez. He's got to go against Prismatic Motorsports with Ryan, both of which very experienced, very fast teams. He's got a lot to compete with here. He's got to have some magic. The weak link here is Kevin Young, but it wasn't weak enough last time out to keep him behind. Mulkey's got a giant wall to face here. When they start pushing, they won't push until after this pit stop, when it comes. And I'm assuming it's coming within the next 10 laps. When they do push, it does not stop from there. And it's going to be... This is going to be pretty hectic. The lap car is doing a really good job staying out of the way. That was Taju on the bottom there. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Mulkey's here, but for how long?
26 laps to go at the line. Simcoe Racing says, "I'm finally in my hotel room." And you were talking about that race at Texas. You can catch that on the Aero Broadcast Network. We'll pop that link in the Twitch chat one more time. Twitch.tv/Aero Broadcast Network. That's where you're going to be able to see that fantastic Christina Ryan finish. She is the first female to win in ARCS, and she's looking to be undeniably the dominant driver tonight. Ryan following Christian Gomez in the lead. Kevin Young sitting in third, but again, one more pit stop to go, and we've hit the final 8th. 25 laps remaining. 12. Christian Gomez in the lead. Christina Ryan in second. Jack Mulkey is here, Clay, inside the final 25. If I'm Jack Mulkey, I don't want to pass these guys. I want to stay here and make sure I'm going to make it into pit stops safely and attack the pit lane harder than Kevin Young, because that's what got Jack Mulkey that third position.
What I would do here, and with Mulkey the last time, is he stayed on an extra lap. He stayed on an extra lap, which you can easily do here if you're pitting short. You can easily stay on an extra lap, pit on your own, avoid the traffic, and hope you've leapfrogged somebody. Or you can pit with the leaders, knowing you're with them, try to make some magic happen on pit lane, and pass them as they're pitting, put everyone on the same cycle. It's a really interesting gamble. Do you pit with everybody, or do you wait a lap, hoping that you have the best in lap of your life? Tommy Withers letting the leaders go by. Fantastic for him to be out on track trying to finish this race. He's sitting in ninth. But this top four, any one of the top four, you can't rule them out. I think the favorite is Ryan at the moment, but Gomez has the race lead. He's led the most laps so far. Yeah, it's just, I don't envy being in any of their positions now, because now the pressure's ramped up for all four. Ryan finished second here in 2020. Gomez has been on the podium here before. Mulkey finished third here last year. Answering a question from White Walker, pit a lap early? You can, but that puts you in a deficit tire wear-wise because the track temperature has gone up. Track temperature at the start of the race was 78 degrees. It is now 96. It's gone up almost 20 degrees since the start of the race, and that does have an effect on the tire wear.
Simco Racing in the chat says, wish my team was in the chat to coach them. We're going to be reviewing their contracts. Well, the boss is watching on, but right now,
in the top five.
Right now, teams have got to mean absolutely nothing in this, the biggest, the longest, and arguably the most prestigious race of the season. Christian Gomez still at the top. We're approaching 50 miles to go. Christina Ryan in second, Kevin Young in third, Jack Mulkey in fourth. White Walker asking, do the fresh tires allow them to run faster laps before they pit and maybe get a good enough lead? Clay?
You can play at catch-22 because you're still going to be setting duck. You don't want to be the leader. You do not want to be the leader right now. You just don't, because you're going to be a sitting duck. With these four cars, any one of the top four can easily get by. You're in this bubble now where the top four can easily start battling. They're not, because they're saving up. They're waiting. They're relaxing. They're resting as much as they can here for these last 20 laps. You do not want to be the leader. You cannot, there's only so much you can defend. You need P2 and P3 to battle. Kevin Young's trying to get a little bit restless here on Christina Ryan, which I don't think's the right play to make. But Christina, you see how much Christina, even with the air taken off the back of her car, how quickly she's getting up to Gomez. When they all settle down and when they all start kind of letting these moves happen, you can't stop them as the race leader. And if you pit a lap earlier, you're in even more of a deficit because now you have the oldest tires, and that does have an effect on where you are going to be in this race. With 20 laps to go, now the pit window is firmly open for everybody. Mulkey might be thinking about doing that early stop, though.
2-0 last time by. 1-9 at the line. And one more pit stop to settle it. Clay, we mentioned earlier, 1999. Well, I mentioned earlier, one of my favorite and earliest memories of the 500. That last lap pit stop by Robbie Jordan that cost him the race. These drivers have made an absolute brilliance of attacking pit lane one last time.
Mason Turner's come in early, by the way. Sorry to cut you off, but
No,
Mason Turner's
you're
made that early stop.
absolutely right. Mason Turner throwing the dice here in the 500 miles. He's doing everything he can do. If fortune smiles on him and a yellow comes out, he might just find himself in an advantageous position. Looks like he overshot it. And Todd Hsu, the only Canadian in the field, leaving pit road. And it looks like Jack Mulkey is in. And Mulkey,
there you go,
throwing the dice, pitting a lap early, seeing what he can do to get out in front, and will the leaders follow suit? Ryan, Gomez, Young, your top three, 17 laps to go. Keen Parts prizes on the line, and they are coming in. There it is. Clay has the memo. Ryan, Gomez, and Young on their way in. This is the money stop. 60 miles an hour is where they must be. It's all or nothing. Final stop in the 500.
Mulkey put them in the best position ever. Did Ryan just speed?
Did she go over by 1 mile an hour?
Oh,
did Christina Ryan just get the penalty that puts the nail in her 5-mile coffin? 17 circuits remaining. We'll wait ages to see If Christina Ryan gets the move, do her rivals get around her? Looking at Christian Gomez, that 27 Lysol IndyCar, staring down the 80. He's down, he's away. No speeding penalty for Ryan. Game on. 16 to go next time by in the 500.
This is going to be really close. Mulkey put them in a really good spot because he knew they couldn't work together for very long without coming in. He put them in a spot where they had to within 2 laps. They couldn't draft away from him here. So he did a really good job thinking forward here, knowing that he was going to put them in that window. It just, was that enough? It might have been.
White Walker 86 says you can be a mile per hour over if you were off the brake. And it works out in Ryan's favor. She's got a half-second lead to Christian Gomez in that second position. KY, Kevin Young, sitting in third with Jack Mulkey 1 second behind. Mulkey has the draft, but he must be diligent and focused as Young's tires now have one more golden lap of grip, more than Mulkey's. Mason Turner in the 5th position will need a caution to get close to the leaders, but anything is possible with 15 1/2 laps to go.
Yeah, this was everything Mulkey wanted. It's just that all three had blistering pit stops there. Looking at the pit stop times, it was all of them at 8.6 to 8.8 second laps. Gomez had the fastest pit stop, 8.3, but it wasn't enough. Total pit lap times, all of them within 0.4 of a second. So Mulkey ultimately did lose out there because they gained more drafting each other on that end lap.
On board with Gomez. That's what half a second looks like at 215 miles an hour. Keen Corvette Parts saying 4 cars on the lead lap. 5 if you
right
count the 06 of Turner. And yes, all 4 of them right there. Looking from the back end now of Christina Ryan.
It's been a race of attrition, but those that have gotten it right have been right where they need to be when it counts the most. But Mulkey might be out of the conversation a little bit, 1.5 seconds off. He needs them to get closer and start battling to have a shot.
You heard Kevin Young running at a much higher revolutions per minute. He's within 0.2. Christian Gomez just in front of Young out of that second corner. There's Gomez looking on Young. Ryan looking on Gomez. 13, lucky number 13. Laps remain. Next time by, Ryan leading by a hair at 220 plus. Gomez, Young behind her. Will this second place fight give Ryan some breathing room, Clay? A dozen laps to go next time across the bricks.
If I'm Young, I would let Gomez kind of take the battle here. That was almost hitting against the wall there. Really lucky there for Young. It didn't slow him down, but it did slow Gomez down because Gomez couldn't go all the way out.
Look at the snake. Look at them just serpentine down that back straight. That's going to be the new dance for the next 12 laps. The 6-0 of Jack Mulkey wants a piece as well. Keen Corvette Parts asking, is this our 3rd year partnering with the Indy race? This is the 2nd year, the 2nd edition of the 500 miles. And absolutely, I could wax poetically and gratefully about the support we've had from Tom, TJ, and Shane over at CorvetteParts.net. It's been an unbelievably fun project, and I'm just so thankful that we could put it through for a 2nd edition. 11 laps remain. Next time by, Clay. Christina Ryan leads by 0.3 of a second, and Kevin Young just so close. He's in 2nd now. He can taste it, but how long does he wait to make the move? Todd Sue in the way of the leaders.
This means so much to everybody. If Ryan wins this race, he becomes the points leader. If anyone wins this race, they sit themselves in a good position for the Triple Crown, the ABN Triple Crown, which involves Pocono and Fontana. If someone wins all 3 races, the prize purse for Indianapolis triples to $75. So all 3 have a bit of an added incentive here. Kevin Young, this was the only race he was planning on doing, but he said if he won this race, he would do all 3. So a little bit there, he's on the outside, giving it an honest look.
Man, just unbelievable. Unbelievable. You could cut the tension with a knife. 10 laps to go on board with Young. He's on the inside. This move for the lead. First time today that Kevin Young goes for the top spot. He makes it stick, and with 10 to go, new leader in the 500, it's Kevin Young.
Now I'm nervous because all three of these people are my people. Christina Ryan absolutely been cheering her on. She has an amazing fan base with Prismatic Motorsports and everyone on that team. Kevin Young, my co-commentator, Christian Gomez, one of my longer friends, one of my soccer buddies. Oh, my heart's hurting here. I don't know who to root for because all three of them have a good shot.
It's getting good now. 9 laps to go. Young
And
loses the
Ryan feels the
lead.
pressure.
Snaking down that front straight. Pressure makes diamonds, Clay. Who's going to shine bright 8.5 laps from now?
The saying goes, pressure can turn rocks into diamonds, or they can turn diamonds into dust. We're gonna find who's the diamond here. Ryan and Young have left Gomez behind. Oh, this is good. Oh, this is good. I'm getting goosebumps.
Violent scything, violent swiping down that back straight. 8 laps to go. Still 12 is it 12 miles? Is my math right? 8 laps is 12 miles at this place, isn't it? 8 laps to go, and still, no, it's
8
more,
is 20.
20 miles. Man, I can't do math, but that's not the point. Christina Ryan leading by 0.2 of a second. One mistake now is literally the end of the race here. 7 laps to go next time by. Kevin Young has driven an unbelievable race so far. Look at the way that they use every inch of the width of this cathedral to speed. The third oldest racetrack in the world, Clay, and it's hosting this grand second edition of the 500 miles of Indianapolis.
It is absolutely insane. All 4 drivers in the screen there. Like, it's not over for anybody. If someone makes a mistake at this point, it's game over. And Kevin Young's doing a really smart thing. He's waiting. He knows Gomez can't get to him. He is waiting. He is waiting. Ryan's got to defend like never before. She's really good at it, but she's got to defend like never before. Young had a really slow run out of turn 2. He has to avoid that on the last lap. If he can do that, if he can get to her on turn 3, he's got this. But he's got to time it perfectly. It's going to be so difficult for someone who has not been in this position ever. But, this is where you do unbelievable things.
You saw Virginian Tommy Withers going for another spill. He sits in 10th right now. Canadian Todd Sue also in pit road. Keen Corvette Parts saying non-fat, low-fat, 2% vitamin D. We don't care. It's not an official race if the winner doesn't drink milk. Except for that one time that Emerson Fittipaldi drank orange juice and he really pissed off the whole racing community for like 3 weeks.
I'll
5
talk
to
about
go.
that one. I'll talk about that one.
How long have they been drinking milk? Since
1936.
1936 when they started drinking the milk here. And what was it? Emerson owned an orange grove or something, so he just decided to drink
Correct.
his own brand of OJ?
Yep.
Special traditions at the
Absolutely.
Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Just what an unbelievable privilege it is to call this sim race. It's been a project born out of love, out of passion for IndyCar racing. And here we are in the last 4.5 laps, and what an unbelievable show we've seen. An emotional race, a sensational race thus far, and we're going to settle it here in the last 10 miles of racing. Christina Ryan, Kevin Young, Christian Gomez, 4/10 off of Young. Jack Mulkey just trying to catch up. Will his foot go any harder into that pedal? Clay, Kevin Young is within 2/10 to leader Christina Ryan. If there was ever a perfect time for him to make a move for the race win, when is it?
Turn 3, final lap, but he's got to set it up going into turn 1. He's got to back it up a little bit. He can't get too close to turn 1. Get a good run out of turn 2. Ryan's been doing a good job of breaking up the draft, but he's still been able to get to her. If he can time these runs, he can do something about it. But Ryan just making it really difficult, taking the line away. But Young was right there.
Young's right there. Look
Oh,
at
there
the
he goes.
inside.
Go for it now.
There it is. Less than 3 laps to go. Young wants that diecast. The Corey LaJoy face mask Keen Parts Ford Mustang 124 diecast up for grabs. $25 from Aero Broadcast Network and a drag race with 2.5 laps to go. Gomez sees this unfolding from his cockpit. Let's find out who's going to win this race. 5 miles to go this time by. Corvette Parts in the chat reminding us Ryan Ellis driving the 45 Keen Parts car on Saturday at Charlotte. He's going to do a great job. Which one of these drivers will do a great job and pilot their way to the finish? Clayton Hardy, white flag next time by.
This is crazy. Watch out, Kevin Young. Shut the door. Ryan moves to the bottom. That was
Unbelievable.
tight. But now Young is at the outside lane where he wants to be. This is going to be really tight.
First time chatter, Jason Blazer says, great race. Clay, white flag in the air. Who do you got?
I've got to go with Ryan, but Kevin Young's putting up an amazing fight. Coming to the white flag. Young to the inside. They're side by side. Ryan has the white flag. Who's got the checker?
Weeks of preparation. Love, passion, desire to be the best and to win this race will come down to one more pass.
They're still side by side.
Still side by side into 3, Ryan with the advantage. Young to the inside, checkers in the air, this time by. How close can it get? Young to the inside, Ryan to the outside. Drag race for the win at Indianapolis. They touch. There goes Christina Ryan. Kevin Young across the line wins the 500 miles of Indianapolis, presented by CorvetteParts.net. What a finish!
That's not great.
What
That's
a
not
finish!
great.
Kevin Young wins the race unofficially. Jack Mulkey in the 2nd position. Mason Turner unofficially coming home in 3rd. We'll have a look at the white flag and we'll see where these drivers were, how this one ended up unofficially. Kevin Young wins the 500 miles of Indianapolis. The 2nd running goes to Syracuse, New York's Kevin Young, spending the entirety of the race in the 3rd position. The 7-2 coming across to collect the checkered flag first. Jack Mulkey unofficially in 2nd. Mason Turner in 3rd. What a run to the end of the race. We'll have one more look and review that white flag lap.
This is going to be interesting. So
Let's have a look. Here's the white flag, Clay. White Walker 86 has a lot of laps to wreck someone with only a straightaway to go. Slowbird not in.
yeah, this is going to be pretty bad.
Not thrilled. Well, let's take a look. Not our place to make the call. We'll let the fans do the judgments in the chat. Let's have a look here. Coming out of turn number 4, Clay, we're gonna slow it down, and we're actually going to well, let's let the pictures tell the story here. Out of the 4th corner, let's slow it down. And we're going to see Kevin Young and Christina Ryan racing it to the bitter end. Now there's Young with a car's width on the outside. There's Ryan looking like he's trying to throw that block, but does he know? He's not clear. Let's run this one back, have a look at the gearbox of, well, at least on the right rear suspension, and let's see how close it was. White Walker 86 saying, Kevin, put Christina into the wall. Oh, hey, says, of course he knows. Talking about, of course he knows that he's clear. Watch the hands.
Yeah, he fades up. The
You
driver
see a tick
chat
of the wheel.
itself tells the tale, because
I would-
he even says he had to
You called
close the
it.
door.
You see a tick of the wheel over to the right. Have one more look here. We're going to flash to the gearbox quite quickly. Watch the tick of the hands. Christina Young, who's led the majority of laps tonight, and in the chat, actually, asking for mercy for Kevin Young, who unofficially wins the 500 miles of Indianapolis. We're going to have top 3 interviews in just a moment. Your CorvetteParts.net podium will consist of Kevin Young, Jack Mulkey, Mason Turner. Fans at home, don't go anywhere. We will have your podium interviews in just a moment. Your unofficial winner tonight in the 500 miles of Indianapolis, presented by Keen Parts, Mr. Kevin Young. On the podium now with our top 3 A thrilling 500 miles coming down to the end, and we've got a great, excited top three, starting with the 06 Mason Turner running in the top 5 and outside of the top 5 for a majority of the day. Coming home with the bronze medal, Mason, from CorvetteParts.net, you've won yourself a Keen Parts Bobby Allison throwback hat and a Keen Parts Corvette City shirt. Congratulations on that third place finish. What a grueling race. And no word from Mason Turner. Mason, Rick James up top. You got me?
Yeah, I got you now.
All right, Mason, we got you, man. Congratulations. Great grueling run for third place, man. Did you think that was possible when you started the afternoon?
I did not think it was possible because mid-race I hit the wall and I had to pretty much claw my way back up. I knew I was aiming for a top 10, and that top 10 slowly started to turn into a top 5. But I was not expecting to come home on the podium those last 5 laps.
Alas, here you are in third place, headed into next week's race at Belle Isle. Beautifully done. And again, you've earned yourself that Keen Parts Bobby Allison throwback hat and the Keen Parts Corvette City shirt, courtesy of CorvetteParts.net. Congratulations.
Thank you, Rick.
Clay, our second place finisher, has earned themselves a Keen Parts throwback crunch shirt and a Keen Parts hat. You've got tonight's silver medalist.
Yeah, Jack Mulkey finished second. It was a Simca Racing 2 and 3, with Mulkey finishing second ahead of Mason Turner. Jack, you got a copy?
I got you loud and clear.
You had a very interesting race. You were fighting to be in that top 3 position all race long, battling with Kevin Young, Christina Ryan, Christian Gomez. The frustration you had being in that dirty air. How did you learn to handle that in the last 20 laps there when it was just an all-out blitz?
I didn't really learn how to handle it. The biggest problem was for me that I like running the second lane there, and Kevin was being very smart and taking that lane away, and that made it a lot harder for me. And just when you're fourth in line there, it's just you can't go anywhere really when everyone's on top of each other like that. But yeah, that just having your line taken away, and I didn't have a lot of confidence on the inside line, so that made it pretty tough.
Obviously, all the chaos that happened on the final lap, you end up coming home second place. We knew sort of coming into this that you really wanted that race win. You knew that Strzemkowski wasn't racing, Reynolds wasn't racing. Coming second place after going through everything that you went through tonight, how does second place feel knowing you're close to winning the race, but it wasn't on the cards? And how do you think you could have prepared differently to try to get that extra position here tonight?
I mean, second always sucks. But I think the biggest thing was I was just telling myself in the final laps, like, don't bin it. Like, I watched Christian bin it, and it was just, at the end it's a race of survival, and if you're still there at the end, you got a chance, and I think we saw that tonight. And I was just trying to keep it going. I don't really know what I could have done different, really. I was just trying to. I probably shouldn't have saved as much fuel as I did, but I really don't know what I could have done different. I mean, on the last pit stop, I went in too deep in the pit box and lost a second there, and I think that was really the difference of me being in front of that top 3. So yeah.
Well, Jack, you finished second place here tonight. Obviously, on top of the double points event, you got laps led. You ended up with about 81 points tonight. Definitely kind of corrects the season that you've had, which was up and down. Continues your top 10 streak that you started back in Barber. Looking at Belle Isle going forward next week, how do you feel going into next week? Do you feel like you've got a chance to build on what you were able to kind of accomplish tonight, knowing that you just endured the hardest race of the season?
I think the biggest thing right now is just keeping consistent. I know that Tom Sears has been doing a great job of that this season, and even when you're not having a great race, just bringing the car home clean has been huge for him. And I think that's something that I'm going to need to take after, just because I know street courses are not my cup of tea. So yeah, that'll be the biggest thing, is just taking care of the car and getting a good amount of practice in.
Well, Jack, it's really late at night. You just endured 200 laps, 500 miles of racing. Earned yourself a good second place prize, as Rick mentioned before the interview. We'll let you enjoy the rest of your Wednesday evening, relax, get some well-earned sleep. We'll see you at Belle Isle next week.
Yeah, and once again, congratulations to Kevin. I just want to say real quick, nobody wants to take someone out like that for the win. So I feel bad for him in that situation.
I appreciate it, Jack. Again, have a good night. Congratulations on your second place finish. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
Our race-winning interview brought to you by the good folks over at CorvetteParts.net. And there's so much more than a parts store. CorvetteParts.net is the ultimate car part experience.
Alrighty.
And from 1950...
I believe it's time to send it back to Rick James. He's got our race winner here. See what Kevin Young's got to say.
Yeah, Clay. We were just talking about our good friends over at CorvetteParts.net, the ultimate car part experience. From 1958 to today, they've got every Corvette part you need and exciting merch to accessorize your garage. From NASCAR diecast, throwback NASCAR apparel, and your favorite Corvette-themed merchandise, CorvetteParts.net is the one-stop Corvette shop. Find out more at CorvetteParts.net or on Twitter at KeenParts. And now our race winner in the number 7-2 IndyCar, Kevin Young, crossing the line first, collecting the checkered flag before the rest of the competition. Kevin, unofficially, you have won the second 500 miles of Indianapolis. Take us through that last lap. Kevin Young, Rick James in the booth. Can you hear me?
Hey, you got to unmute him real quick.
Sorry, unmuted. There we go. It was quite interesting that last lap there. First of all, again, Christian Ryan was having great duels with Gomez as well, and it was just a very enjoyable race throughout. And I just want to put that for the first 199 laps. And with that last lap, I knew I had to be inside going on the backstretch because that's what the run was going to be. And then coming off four, I don't even know what happened. I have to get a good look at the replay, but it's in the steward's hands. But it was a situation where I didn't intentionally try to do anything, take anyone out or anything. It was just a situation where either I thought I was clear or I'm not even 100%. But it was just a situation where I feel bad I had to enter that circumstances. I wish we had a drag race to the line, but that sometimes is racing. But I am, again, horrifically apologetic to Christina for what happened there. That shouldn't have done that even regardless, even if it was accidental.
Unofficially, you've got that race win. You'll collect double points in the championship again until we'll see what the stewards decide. But for now, the name at the top of the pylon is one Kevin Young. Congratulations on that race win. Go celebrate and get yourself a well-earned 500-mile sip of milk.
Don't worry, I'm already doing that right now. Next week, I'll be in the booth, and I think the chat's going to quite let me have some of this. But join the milk right now, though. Thank you for having the commentary, boys.
Congratulations on that race victory. Once again, a big shout out to the folks over at CorvetteParts.net. Check them out at KeenParts on Twitter or on CorvetteParts.net. Get yourself some of that NASCAR diecast and throwback merchandise. They've got 164 diecast starting at $7 and some amazing elite throwback diecasts. Check them out, CorvetteParts.net. You will not be sorry. My esteemed thanks over to Clayton Hardy, who shared his wonderful IndyCar series with everybody here at Rick James TV. It's been a beautiful night of racing so far. Clay, thank you so much. And once again, the circus continues next week on twitch.tv/Arrow Broadcast Network. That's where you'll continue to watch the rest of these fantastic Indy Arcs season. And I can't wait for next year. Clay, thank you so much for coming on through, my friend. What a night.
Yeah, it was insane. The battles we saw, especially the last 50 laps, it was quintessential battling it out. Very tough, very intense. Just absolutely everyone was giving it their all. Christian Gomez, unfortunately for him, wrecked out with 2 laps to go, pushing just a little bit too extra hard. Ends up coming home 7th. But it was a race of attrition. Those that were able to hold on and get to those 200 laps obviously they reaped the most rewards there. It was everyone put it all on the line there. It's what you want to see, for better or for worse. It was what you want to see. You want to see everyone give it their all, and we got that and then some. And we hope at the very least that it was very entertaining for everyone that was watching. I know that we had a lot of people watching. Appreciate all of you at home. Appreciate again Keen Parts, CorvettParts.net. Thank you for all the support you've given us for this year's event and for last year's event. Next year's going to be a blast. Can't wait for Battle Isle either. It's going to be another race of attrition, and people are going to dominate the concrete jungle.
That about wraps it up. What a race. What a race. What a season. What a series. And what an absolute wonderful hobby. It feels so good to be back home again. And a great second running of the 500 miles of Indianapolis goes to Kevin Young. Until that next race, everybody, please stay safe. Do take care of each other. And we will, as